Hello and welcome to the Nen Show Podcast Speedrun Edition. I am your host, Craftsdwarf. This is Mathwiz. Say hello, Mathwiz.
Thanks for coming to the Nen Show Podcast. See you next time.
Yeah, okay, cool. Next time we're reading... Okay, anyway. So yeah, no, wait. I almost said chapter blank. No, we're reading the Dark Tournament. So dark, but not quite black, yes. I've actually been looking forward to this one because, well, I think it's the best arc so far. How do you feel, Mathwiz?
I think I'd made a similar statement back when I watched it in the anime version. I think this arc gets off to a really slow start, and then eventually it gets to a pretty satisfying ending. But it's kind of it's rough in places. It takes its time getting to the good stuff.
Well, it was funny. In private, you were saying, I guess it's better than May's Castle. Almost
Well, yeah, because, I had said, oh, can't wait to talk about how the Dark Tournament is the worst arc in Yu Yu Hakusho. Because I was thinking more Chapter Black, Three Kings, in the big scheme of things. But I guess, if we are breaking down the individual, Spirit Detective arcs and not just lumping it all together as one big thing, then, yeah, I guess technically Dark Tournament is better than some of the stuff that came before.
Some of those middle one, yeah. Okay. Cause yeah, it's there's parts of it that are anyway, let's get to comments. Did you have comments?
I don't remember where I'd mentioned something in the podcast. I know we were just in general doing the talk about the one character in the trans representation in just
Miyuki,
Jump
yes.
in general. And a couple of people mentioned Stop Hibari-kun, which was... I remember that it existed, but I forgot that it was a weekly Shonen Jump series back in, the early 80s. So
I hadn't heard of it. Or I feel like I've heard of it, but I didn't know anything about it. Maybe I heard the title once or something. But,
yeah, there was a YouTube video about it somewhere. And, yeah, it seems pretty interesting. I haven't read it yet, but... Yeah, so there was something before Yu Yu Hakusho within Jump itself that definitely had some level of focus on that.
So Q and I think maybe some other people, because we were talking about, or I was talking about non-battles or battle series, and people brought up Yu-Gi-Oh. I was deliberately trying to bring up things before Yu-Gi-Oh, because Yu-Gi-Oh would be the first at least one of the first that I know of actual non-battle series, since it's a card battler. But I was specifically thinking because JoJo's Stardust Crusaders and Yu Yu Hakusho both ended before Yu-Gi-Oh started, so I was thinking exclusively in the terms of before going into Yu-Gi-Oh, So I don't know what the author of Yu-Gi-Oh's influences were either, but I was just that's where I was coming from, because I knew about Yu-Gi-Oh, it's just that until I watched Super Perpetual's video, I hadn't thought about how JoJo was kind of a precursor in a way, and then of course Yu Yu Hakusho has some stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyway, Jellicok, well, how did that? What accent was that? Respawn. He pointed out, because I mentioned last time that I wasn't sure about reading self-hatred into Yusuke's character yet, but he pointed out some observations that because it's much more apparent this stretch of chapters. But he pointed out some observations that were he literally left his fucking body in the trash. At one point, I think. Or maybe I feel like I remember that from the manga, but yeah. So just stuff like that I hadn't pieced together yet. That was fine. He also mentioned something about Togashi possibly as being the first to do psychological realism, but I'm he only mentioned battle series and not Ashita no Joe or delinquent manga. Delinquent manga are kind of a big deal, especially Yusuke is a delinquent character. I'm. Maybe it's because of this comment, but I think I'm just gonna read Roku Denashi Blues, or what's translated of it, because I looked at it and it started before and ended after Yu Yu Hakusho, so it would have been running at the same time. And you heard about it from
that was one of the recommendations from my Insecure Shonen Protagonist comment section.
And also I just need to read more old shonen in general. So, and this one's not fully translated, so it's probably not something we'll talk about on the Nen Show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fuck it, yeah, I'll do it. Fuck it. And those were all the... and the other comment was also on the Stop Hibari-kun. So,
yeah. I was going to say I had also I'd also had that respawn comment because Yusuke's he's an interesting character and he gets more interesting as things go along.
I'd say he's still my favorite character. But anyway,
I did have one more from Karabe 197. And it was about, like, you know, comments on the anime, like little things that maybe I didn't think to mention about, like, differences. One of them in particular I wanted to spotlight was all the little scenes they add in of Koenma, like, watching the stuff that Yusuke's doing.
Yes, you mentioned those.
Yeah.
While tweeting about the show, because you thought they were really annoying, I think.
Well, it was more like in the Dark Tournament because they happen. Like, I don't think Koenma shows up at the stadium immediately in his like human form. So there are like the cutaways with him, and it's all the time. Like the anime's pacing for the Dark Tournament is not great because, like, compared to the Spirit Detective stuff that we just covered. That's like
50 chapters in 25 episodes, right? We were talking about. I mean, they cut like about a dozen of those chapters, but still.
Yeah, so it's not quite the 2-to-1 ratio that I know Ember Reviews made a video about like how to pace Shonen Jump stuff, but it kind of is there, even though they cut some stuff. But with the Dark Tournament, it ends up being like 60 chapters adapted into 40 episodes, which is like 1.5 chapters ish. So there's a lot of, you know, cutaways to like Koenma reacting, and it keeps happening, so it just gets repetitive and old.
Yeah, that's one of the things I remember about, because I wasn't bothered, because that's one of those things I'm pretty sure we've brought it before in regards to like manga anime adaptation, because, you know, a small panel with like a line of text takes up like no page economy, but in an anime you have to like you have to like cut away to that character saying that thing if you're doing a straight adaptation. So, you know, like in the manga, like I didn't really notice it because if it was, you know, because it's just like little, you know, a couple, you read Koenma's line and you keep going. It's just a small panel. But in the anime, it's a potential flow breaker. So
I was actually kind of surprised that like all the side characters like Botan and that group, like I figured they would be there, but I was surprised they did get as many cutaways as they did in the manga, because that seemed kind of like an anime only sort of thing, because that's, you know, taking the side characters and you know, incorporating them a bit more. But I think for the most part, fair. I don't really like remember any distinct differences, like, oh, this didn't happen or this did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, no, there was one difference, because Kuwabara's sister had like she had some sort of like weird relationship with Sakyo that I didn't quite understand. I don't know if it was like a romance thing. I don't really know what was going on with them.
Was that in the anime?
Yeah, in the anime, because I noticed it wasn't in the manga.
Yeah, okay, that's weird. Because when you brought it up, I'm like, wait, what? Did I miss something entirely? I just read this.
No, I think, I don't know if they were using it as like a way to shed some extra light on Sakyo's character, but I don't really remember if it changed anything really about him other than just like...
Yeah, that seems unusual. Anyway, so getting into the reading, the Dark Tournament begins.
Yeah, and I'd kind of mentioned this at the tail end of the last podcast, but compared to, like, Hunter x Hunter, which was a series I really liked for how it had, like, breathing room between arcs, and, like, you know, the training arcs, they really flesh out the basics and stuff.
Yes.
But here in the Dark Tournament, it's just like, okay, let's just skip whatever months we have to train and just jump straight to the Dark Tournament. And I was kind of like...
Yeah, Yu Hakusho, like, you also did a video about how the arcs in Hunter x Hunter flow into each other, where Yu Hakusho is very abrupt. Like, even at the end of this reading, I you know, just to make sure, I checked, like, it just goes right into chapter black, you know?
Yeah, from more of, like, a plot perspective, I guess, because, like, you know, it's, like, narratively connected, or, like, what's the way, like, the tone of the series shifts is very natural, and it kind of flows from one arc to the next. But as far as, like, the actual events and pacing and stuff, it kind of stop-start. Like, it, you know, we switch gears and go to something else, which is not inherently a bad thing. I just think, in particular, with the Dark Tournament setup, I would have liked more.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, let's get into the actual discussion. So, right off the bat... okay, actually, we have to talk about something really important right off the bat. So you showed me that there was, these panels, Viz took some liberties here. So I guess we have to regarding spoilers, we're probably gonna have to talk about some Yu Hakusho, like, setting spoiler here, that's not revealed into the last arc. so I do apologize if you have not experienced Yu Yu Hakusho before. But it does recontextualize the entire setting in a way that Viz was not aware of when they were, or I don't know if it's like, or I don't know, because I think this was one of the things that frustrated me when I first read the series, and now it's like I don't know what to think because, yeah, okay. So anyway, later on, it's revealed that demons aren't actually that bad, and King Enmo is actually like deliberately framing them as bad. I forget exactly why, but like, but this is kind of like indirectly contradicted in the Viz thing, because Viz frames that as all demons are actually bad, because like there were the panels you showed me where it's like, oh yeah, we deliberately had to do good things and not be evil to get these seats, which is, I was like, oh okay, then
it was such a weird change too, because even like in the anime too, but in like the other translation, the fan translation I'd read, it's just like, we're tired of waiting, we paid good money for this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like very generic, just like, yeah, this is what they're here for. But otherwise, it's just like, it's so specific about like, you know, we want all this violent stuff, and we didn't do any of that for weeks so we could be here. It just felt like, it felt like a Vizism.
Like, it kind of made sense in a way, because it's like, they're even talking about how like the Dark Tournament, it allows these violent tendencies to have an outlet that's not acting out on humans, and so it's even and you could say that it's furthered if like you have like, okay, let's say this is like an actual fact of the setting. If you have to be a good demon, quote unquote, to go to the Dark Tournament to watch it. So it's like that further limits like the bad deeds of demons, so it's like it kind of makes sense, but then it doesn't make sense at all,
because with all the people in the crowd shouting like kill and stuff, but it's like, no, these are the good demons,
right? It's like, yeah, that's, oh yeah, I didn't think that is kind of weird, because like, yeah, if these are the good demons, then I guess they're like pretending to be good, I guess. So
way to go,
or at least how
you did it.
It's really weird, especially with the later context, and I don't know how it's like I guess the anime is probably closer to how it's supposed to be, but yeah, it's really weird. It's one of those things that like it's hard to read into properly, because we don't have like a full like competent translation that actually gets across what's supposed to be said, so very sad. And well, I brought it up immediately because like we kind of start off like there's a bunch of demons in the woods, and there's like, look at all these souls, and they're all talking about how happy they are to eat humans, and then the boys come in, well, minus Yusuke, and they got to go on a ship, and there's a test on the ship, and this doesn't seem familiar at all if you've read Togashi before.
yeah, they're more Hunter exam vibes.
Yes. Hiei is like tests Yusuke a bit, and Yusuke is strong. There's a mysterious fighter who's totally not Genkai.
Yeah, I don't know if like Togashi wanted it, because again, we've had like reveals like this before where it's like, I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a surprise at all. But there is a bit
like, I thought that exact same thing too, but how it like, but we do see Under the Mask later, so I think at this like it's like, yeah, that's obviously Genkai, but then it's like we see Under the Mask and oh, it's not Genkai. Because how do they handle it in the anime? Because there is no voice in the manga. Because like there's one part in the manga where she says something, and it's like, oh, that doesn't sound like Genkai at all. But it's like
it's more just like a younger sounding version of her voice.
So it still kind of sounds like Genkai. Okay, yeah. See, so probably a little harder to hide that in the anime. It's nothing that bothered me, but
no, yeah, it might have just been more of like, oh, these characters should be confused as to the fighter's identity. So
yeah,
so maybe it's more just like an in-setting thing than it is as like a verisimilitude thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the proper use of the word, but I just did it. You knew what I meant.
That's fine. Yeah, I know what you meant. But anyway, yeah, they get on the boat and they gotta fight. And they fight, and they're all cool. Yusuke he's sleep fighting because he's tired.
But it's also like indicative of just like how severe Genkai's training would be, because like he's having to like defend himself in his sleep, and he's like, back off.
Yep. Anyway, we find out that last time with the Maze Castle shit, it basically ended up where Keiko kind of knows but also isn't being told, and now Botan's just like, okay, let's go to Keiko bullied Botan into taking her to the Dark Tournament, so And then Mom and Kuwabara's sister showed up too, so it's like, yeah, there's no secret anymore. They're just there, which I like because they were fun this arc as the commentary because that's their close family members. And
no, yeah, I really did like that they were there. Their cutaways were fun.
Yes, they have a bunch of good moments too.
Especially seeing because you have Yusuke's mother who is this. Connections to the Yakuza, so she's very stern and maybe not stern is the word, but she can be very
tough. She's tough. Yeah.
That's the word.
She raised Yusuke as a teenager herself, so it's how do you not get tough after that?
There was also the one part where I think Shizuru just puts a cigarette butt on the one demon's tongue or whatever, and they explode or something. Maybe they don't explode, but it's
I think they were reeling backwards, and they hold their own against fucking actual demons as normal humans. So it's pretty good. Anyway, they get harassed by Rinku, who's one of the guys they fight. Then they make it to a tournament. I forget how just abrupt it, not quite abrupt, but it just goes, I suppose. Koenma is also there. He's a big boy, but he still has the binky.
Yeah, and then I like how there was some sort of comment on it afterwards where the audience is but why? And Togashi's no, it's I don't know, but it's just an aesthetic. It serves no other purpose.
Well, I guess it's to connect it more to this is definitely Koenma, that, because that's his defining feature, right? The binky.
Yeah, that, and then he's got Junior written on his head.
Yes,
but that's kind of it. I mean, otherwise you might look at this and it's who's this character?
Which that would have actually been funny if because you had the whole Genkai thing, but then it's who's this handsome man? And no, it's fucking Koenma.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, get to the first fight. I do think it's interesting that and very versatile is that he can change the fighters decide on the rules that they fight with, basically,
Yeah.
So they could have team matches, they could, or in this one-on-ones and such, which mostly it is one-on-ones, but it's kind of cool that there is some variety.
No, yeah, there are interesting mechanics with the Dark Tournament. That being one of them, because some of the matches can be pretty interesting, and I guess. As a tournament, I guess it's good in that the odds are always stacked unfairly so against the protagonists. The rules are always changing and stuff. So I guess if you're really in it from just more of a plot story perspective of the drama, how are they going to get out of this one?
Yeah. Though of course I kind of once even when you first said you weren't huge on the Dark Tournament, I was considering Mathwiz's stance on having a bunch of fights in a row, yeah, absolutely, she's not gonna care for this. And reading it, it's there are so few actually good fights. A lot of them are just feel this is happening, that kind of thing. Where it's
and some of them, it's not even that I necessarily even dislike the fights, but it's not I take anything particularly special away from them. So it's that happened, and that's fine. But that happened is kind of the extent of my reaction.
Yeah, but I guess I think it's if you're looking for technical fights, where Yu Hakusho is not Hunter x Hunter is way better. JoJo was going around the same time, and I think it's wild and crazy, but I think it's got that aspect going for it too. Pokemon Special, I read after those two, and I was holy shit, why are these fights so good? What the fuck? Is a manga for 7-year-olds? So, Yu Hakusho's fights are fine, but they're not really stand out in that regard. So it's I if you're not going to give me technical fights, give me interesting conflicts. And Yu Hakusho kind of has technical fights, and sometimes has it. Especially Yusuke versus Togoro. That's, easily the best part of the manga so far for me. Maybe not easily, but it's really good. And a lot of Dark Tournament builds up to that, but not in only mostly in just getting Yusuke strong enough, really. So yeah, I'm just skipping through the Kuwabara fight, and it's fine. With Yo-Yo Kid, who I literally just named 3 seconds ago, and I've already forgotten.
Yeah.
Did you? So yeah, I'm guessing you don't have any further thoughts on this fight, or?
Yeah, no, not really. It's just kind of Kuwabara being a bit of a goofball, and
Yes, Kuwabara has a great moment later, but we'll get to that. Though I also want to say, like, the way the yo-yos work with like putting the aura in them. I was reading it and I was like, this feels like Baby Nen, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you got that vibe.
Well, because there was kind of something similar with Kuwabara too, where he's like, "Oh, this sword hilt is like the an extension of myself," and so there are definitely some powers that are like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like he obviously hasn't developed the it doesn't have the mechanical limitations of Nen, which I also think really make it interesting. But it definitely, like, there's just parts of it that just, like, what's one of the first characters who uses Nen that we see is, like, he uses tops instead of yo-yos, so there's a similar kind of concept there of, like, supercharged toys, you know? Both out of Togashi, of course. But anyway, Kuwabara loses, because he gets ringed out, and Kurama gets a fight. Oh, okay, this fight with the Kama Itachi, or the sickle scythe weasel, did you have any thoughts on it, or no?
Wait, what about Itachi?
Kama Itachi,
means
sickle, it's a yokai, and that's what this guy is.
No, there wasn't really much I took away from, like, I think it was, like, the first and, like, the second round. I was just kind of like, eh.
Well, there was one bit that I felt like my bit of, like, see, this is the Viz-ism I noticed, because he's oh yeah, my familiars are stalking your family, your mom, and they'll devour her. So Kama Itachi, the sickle weasels, they have basically apparently in one take on them, like Ushio and Tora also does this, is that they're supposed to be siblings, 3 siblings. So it's like, so you have this main one and then you have the 2 siblings. So, but he says familiars, and I wonder what it was originally supposed to be. Like, maybe they kind of avoided that to avoid talking about the cultural, like, all this yokai lore that the audience would be expected to know, because it's actually Japanese, you know? And I bring that up because you do kind of have a familial conflict here, because Kurama is not quite a blood, like, yeah, he was born and raised to this woman, but he had a long history before that. So it's like, you could see that as like a non-blood familial relationship, and he's sticking his blood family after her. So, I'm not sure if I have anything to go from there, but it was just an observation I had. Because, Kurama wins. Brutally. Like, it's funny, the humans usually, like, become friends with their opponents, but the demons fucking murder them. So it's like, generally speaking, cause that's what happens next, is Hiei gets into his fight with Zeru, and that I definitely remember from the anime, because it's like, how do you forget that? He turns him into a silhouette on the wall. Like, there's no way I'm gonna forget that if I watched it.
Yeah, this is where there were definitely a couple of episodes in the anime where I don't remember how much influence Shinbo had, but I know he definitely did like storyboards and stuff.
Yes, I know about him being attached to the anime version of this scene.
So, like,
in some way.
Yeah, there is this. Okay, I guess basically anything where Hiei does his, like, you know, the
Darkness of Dragon.
The Dragon of the Darkness Flame, which is not how Viz translated it, and I'm upset.
I know. See, I kind of know that name, even though I've been reading this version. And it's like, it's such a, like, okay, I don't know if it's Hiei specifically, or like, because he does the my right arm, which is a weird thing that you see a lot in Chunibyo characters, like the so I don't know if, like, that's because of, like, deliberately being influenced by Hiei. Oh yeah, guys, I think we talked about, like, its relative popularity. And so yeah, not only was Yu Yu Hakusho competing with it was running at the same time as Dragon Ball. It actually ended first, but it was selling almost as well, like, or even some volumes even sold better, like, because it was a fucking huge hit. So but anyway,
I think. With regards to that attack, though, the second time that Hiei uses it, more towards, like, the end of the arc, that one stands out in particular because it's, like, one whole episode, pretty much, dedicated to that attack, which ordinarily would be like, wow, that's really bad pacing. Yeah. That's kind of garbage. But it's just because it's, like, a big... I mean, it's Shinbo goes all out, and it's like it's a crazy visual thing. So like it works for that alone.
Nice. Oh, that's right. They call it Blazing Fist of the Overlord, which makes no sense. Like there's no darkness or dragon in there. Like I don't know what it's originally supposed to be.
Well, yeah, because like otherwise, when they don't use that name, but they're like referring to it, they refer to it as like the Black Dragon or whatever, and I'm like,
yeah, Black Dragon Hellfire. So that's a bit closer at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, he fucking destroys this guy, and that's that. But he also like. I guess Zero is like a really strong dude, and by doing so, yeah, because that's the one thing. Another thing, like they do to keep tension is that the characters put out so much energy early on that they're like weakened later on. Like Hiei's like, oh yeah, I just used all of my spirit energy, and he's literally like crippled for like the next 2 rounds or stuff like that. So and that also gives the other characters moments to do something, by not putting out the stronger ones, doing that kind of thing. So like yeah, I do wish that there was more going on like an individual fight level, but I do think the general outer like structure of things, like yeah, it's more dynamic and interesting, I think you could say. But of course, like that at the same time, like what do you come for the tournaments? It's the individual fights, and yeah, that's a fight. And there's a lot of that, Then now we're coming up on one I did like Yusuke versus Chu.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun one, but I guess, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, well, mostly, like, yeah, like, on its own, like, because, going to what I was saying about, like, Yusuke, more befriending his opponents. Oh, I want to talk about Togashi's art for a bit, too, because there's one specific panel where Togashi draws, like, each individual strand of hair, and like, on his eyebrow, and, like... but yeah, like, I want to talk about Togashi's art again, because, like, I definitely feel like... So I've heard it gets, like... the health issues really start cropping up and like being a huge detriment in chapter Black, or at least towards the end. So Dark Tournament is probably like the best and most consistent Togashi's art is going to be.
Yeah,
because holy shit. Go on, or what you're gonna say?
No, yeah, I was really impressed with the art here, because I feel like I would imagine Hunter x Hunter maybe doesn't reach these heights again as far as art quality. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm just considering,
in individual panels, I would say so, but like not
as a whole.
Right, because because I do feel as like I was just talking about this with Vindy on the Monster Hunter stream like the other day, and like the issues people point out with Hunter x Hunter, like Togashi's always had them, but it's just that they're pushed to the point of like being really extreme in Hunter x Hunter. Like yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho's always was pretty wordy in its own, but it's like that stands out less when there's art to go along with it. Where in Hunter x Hunter, there's that meme page where it's literally just like two panels with like two face shots, and then the rest is literally just text. And then of course like yeah, I was talking about last time is how you have this like spectrum of like low detail to really high detail with an actual like normal in the middle, and Hunter x Hunter can do the really high details but also has low detail to the point of just not having art. So it's like but this is like where those extremes are like at for the art, it's at its best point. Like there's one page specifically in the Chu fight where it like looks like where they're doing the punch out with the knives, and it's like it looks like it's done in watercolor almost, the way it's kind of like it's, I mean, maybe it's because this was the full color, or
yeah, there were like a number of full color, like the whole chapter was in full color. I think there was like 1 or 2 of them in the first stretch we did, but here there was at least like maybe even like 5 or 6. Like there were quite a few of them.
Yeah, and it was really cool. Like I'm just looking through it again. And I'm just like, damn, this is some good there's some parts where he draws the motion that's really good. Like the sound effects aren't too like they don't cover that much of the art. Luckily, like there's a couple panels, but it's like, it's good shit. Like Togashi is like, because people give him a lot of shit for Hunter x Hunter, but it's like, no, read the manga of Yu Yu Hakusho. Togashi's good. Okay, don't bully. So yeah, I did want to highlight the art because, like, especially going through these chapters again, like, goddamn.
Yeah, especially like one of the big important things about Togoro's final form is that like it's so grotesque, and like
Togashi loves drawing Togoro. Like every other panel the dude is in is like hyper detailed as fuck.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, just like all like the
yeah,
little like individual veins and stuff that like
the musculature. It's good.
yeah, like I had said, like a big part, like it's not like, you know, 'cause, I mean, he says that like his thing is raw power, and so like you don't want to, I don't know, but it shows like the potentially destructive nature of power. So Togashi doesn't want to just like have him be just sort of like a generic buff muscular dude, because like that's not grotesque enough. So like Togashi
yes.
with like the shoulders,
he adds it into the design, right? The mushroom shoulders, yes, you mentioned that last
yes, the
time.
mushroom shoulders, and then like his collarbone popping out and stuff. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Like he's inhuman, yeah, and he's literally sacrificed his humanity for power, and it fits into, it's like the perfect design for that. Yeah. But I will say, so one thing about this fight that stands out to me, because Yusuke likes to fight, but like once, and that has some contrast with Togoro later, and this is a fight of him just enjoying the fight because he's fighting like someone mutually, and like they both agree on this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why they befriend each other, because they just like they're just like having this battle of strength and wit, and like at the end it's just pure grit where they're doing the knife fight, and they just fucking wail on each other, and it's just Yusuke. Like this is what Yusuke enjoys about fighting, is testing your mettle against someone, and only at risk to himself because he's Yusuke. So, because like I feel like as a kid, even though like it's only been like a few months, even though when I say that, but at the start of the series, he also was always fighting, but it was in the same way. So he never had a contrast as to like the life or death fighting, which he doesn't like at all, especially when it's at the risk of his friends, and of course he doesn't want to die because he's seen how they were grieving for him even when he thought no one cared, So it's like, when it's life or death, it changes completely for him, and so now you have like this sort of division on how much, like what if, depending on what Yusuke is fighting for, and like what the stakes are, is why he it basically depends on whether he likes it or not, and and this is just one of those fights. There's the other one with Jin later, and where it's like, this is what Yusuke likes about fighting, and then you have the other fights where, like, that's why he's in the Dark Tournament, because Togoro will kill him otherwise. That's what he doesn't like about fighting. So, it's a good little dichotomy. Is that the right word? Sure.
Yeah, so I guess, like, those two fights in particular that you mentioned, like, the ones with Yusuke definitely do, they're important in that regard, that they highlight that discrepancy.
Yes, which is, so it's good. And I guess after that with this. We're moving on to the scientist guy. Though there is a little breathing room in between the fights, which is good. I mean, not between
once
the fights,
this
but
arc
between the
starts,
yes.
Togashi gets better with like having a little breathing room and like cutaways to the side characters, or maybe there's some banter, just other stuff to flesh out the proceedings a bit.
And in the rounds themselves, it's pretty much like straight through. I don't know because he also structures in a way where he'll end a chapter on a big like cliffhanger moment, and then he'll finish the fight within like a couple pages of the next chapter, and then go right into the next fight. Mm-hmm. So just so it's like he keeps the big chapter cliffhanger, leaving tension in the air as to the victor is, but he won't end he'll sometimes will, but he won't always end the match or the chapter with like, here's the winner, maybe he'll do that for the last one, but he won't do that on the way there as much. Or maybe at least not that I remember. Like skimming through, I might find counter points to that. But I just, he's got to play with the chapter rankings. Even if though at this point he was probably selling pretty well. So
I think it's kind of funny, especially with when he'll like do that with Kuwabara fights, where it's like, oh, here's the next matchup, Kuwabara versus this guy, and then it ends up being like a gag that he gets like teleported away.
Yeah, that happened like exactly twice. Like, Jesus, the poor dude. But anyway, there's a bit of like Keiko's afraid to talk to Yusuke because she doesn't want to interfere. Hiei and Yusuke go over their the fact that like they put in so much effort in their fights against like a really strong opponent. And that's kind of cool. Like they fought a strong guy first, and so next they fight like guys who are technically weaker. But again, the tension is up because they're not fighting at full potential. Oh, and I think I skipped it before, but there was the other part already where Genkai mentioned that like Yusuke grows more through fighting than training.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
yeah,
so like
okay, so
the inverted
me,
bracket thing that they do kind of like works in their benefit.
And as we find out, like with the one fight where I think Hiei was like trapped behind the barrier by the nurse demon lady, like there's like Togoro like probably arranged for this because he wants Yusuke to get stronger. Like that was the takeaway I had. I forget if it was directly stated or not, but that was like kind of what I figured. Because it makes sense. Of course Togoro wants Yusuke to be at his peak when they fight, so he can have the best fight possible. So it makes sense that he literally like because Togoro only has like literally 2 fights. Like it's so stilted against Team Urameshi. Like. But it's so and this allows for more of the shonen fighting, and it allows for Yusuke to get stronger. But I wanted to bring that up especially because like I said, it's not a problem with Yu Hakusho. In fact, like it's fine. It's fine in general. But let's be honest, Yu Hakusho 100% gets a pass for doing things that people would complain about in other series. Like
I think that's kind of how I felt about it too. Yeah. Because, like, when people say that this is... when people were hyping this up to me that, like... Because, like, when I did my comparison of the Hero Academia and Naruto tuning exam stuff, everyone was like, oh, the Dark Tournament's the best tournament arc in all of anime or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll see what I think about it. And then when I did, I felt kind of underwhelmed because, like, it does have a really good ending, like... and it has good, I think, unique elements to it. But at the same time... There is a lot of just, like, more standard shonen stuff, which is not a complaint, right. But when people were, like, hyping it up to me that, like, oh, it's this grand thing, like, it's one of the best tournament arcs ever.
Yeah, like, I mean, honestly, like, going back to Fairy Tail, like, if you chop off the Dragon Festival, like, I wouldn't put the Grand Magic Games that much below Dark Tournament if you chop off the Dragon Festival, it becomes even harder because, like, the game, like, yeah, I like having the variety, like, and I think you'd agree at least some level, like, maybe not Grand Magic Games as an example, but, it's not just fighting. There's also, like, the other stuff going on, and that, it makes it even more varied. And, the Yusuke Togoro stuff was definitely better than, like, what if Fairy Tail Stings arc. I mean, as far as, like, personal emotions, like, Laxus versus Raventail was fucking hype for me. So, like... I
think the thing with tournament arcs is, like, it's kind of like... Because it does tend to be a lot of fighting, you need to either, like, mix up the tone at certain points, or mix up, the style of combat, or what exactly is going on, which I think Yu Yu Hakusho does in some cases well, but there are times where it's a lot of just, like, oh, we fight the evil bad guy, and we have to beat the evil bad guy. And...
Like, and you know me, I like my conflicts, and... Yu Hakusho hasn't really been good, like, with every single fight having some kind of conflict where it's usually just lore. Like, because a lot of this arc is really just building up to Yusuke versus Togoro, and honestly, like, the sad thing about, the Togoro, Team Togoro fighting is, like, literally 3 of the matches are just, like, there, and then it's Yusuke versus Togoro, which is great. Like, I would honestly say, like, I don't think any of those other characters' matches in the Team Togoro were particularly better than any other ones before. So it's like, why have all this build up to Team Togoro when only one of the fights is actually good? Like, I don't know how you felt. Maybe I'm misremembering or not giving him enough credit, but it's like...
I think, this might have just felt more prevalent in the anime, but it definitely felt like, the Kurama Karasu fight was supposed to be kind of like the under tier thing. Like, that's the... Like, in the manga, it didn't feel quite that much, because, like, yeah, we did get the cutaways to Karasu, but they're, I don't know, because I guess with the anime just being slower, it felt like they were trying to put more emphasis on it.
True.
But yeah, like, I don't know, none of them are as, nothing really compares to, the Togoro fight with Yusuke. Because, I mean, like, you have the other guy, Bui, who is just, like, he doesn't have any lines until he actually starts his fight. And then he just gets, kind of beat by Hiei in one big attack. And that... So, you know, there's not...
Yes, well, one big episode-long attack, so apparently. So that at least stands out. But yeah, it's like, again, like, I don't, like, I'm not gonna say this is out, like, it's, you know, it's probably the best, I mean, because tuning exams is that a tournament arc? Because, like, if so, yeah, I might put tuning exams above Dark Tournament a little bit. Grand Magic Games is weirdly comparable when I shouldn't think that, like, it's like, that's just, like, a horrible hot takes, lava takes, I guess. But we really haven't had that many tournament arcs so far.
Yeah, because like, you know, Grand Magic Games aren't, like, an elimination thing. Like, maybe the tuning exams don't have brackets until, like, the very end. But
yeah, like, if you're talking, like, straight fighting tournament, then, like, I guess, but at the same time, I can't, like, I haven't, you know, I want to reread Dragon Ball. We haven't done Kinnikuman yet. Or, like, neither of us have read it, I mean. I want to read Kinnikuman eventually. Please let me, I don't know, we'll find it. Maybe we'll talk about, I don't fucking know. Like, what else has, like, what else are people comparing it to? Like, Shaman King was kind of, so maybe it is the best, like, in a jump manga straight fighting tournament. But, I also prefer the non-straight fighting tournaments anyway, so it's like, okay. And then, yeah, Yusuke versus Togoro is good. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess if you're going to say that, well, never mind. Actually, that's kind of unrelated. Because I was going to say, well, then the My Hero Academia tournament arc isn't technically because they're not all fighting events.
Yeah.
But
Right. I was also going to say, the series I was mentioning last time was indeed Kengan Ashura, because it's a series, like, that's the one where it's like a martial arts tournament, and you see every single match, apparently, even the ones that, like, the characters who are in no way going to interact with the main character. So, yeah, because that's another sports. Like, that's a whole, like, do those count? Like, because sporting arcs love their tournaments, you know? Sporting series. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it would just depend on what parameters you set. Like, are we talking just straight tournaments, or are we talking just action tournaments?
Well, because, like, I'm just wondering, like, where this idea came from, because, like, if, like, oh, yeah, Dragon Ball and Yu Yu Hakusho, yeah, Dark Tournament's the best tournament arc. Like, what else are you comparing it to? So, yeah, but, like, there's definitely good here, and talk about it, I'm realizing more, like, it's not interesting in the way that, like, I specifically look for interesting things, but it's, like, yeah, it's dynamic, and there's, like, some variety with the, like, you know, how the characters choose to fight and stuff. So there's definitely aspects to like about it. I just wish I liked more of the fights. So anyway, next we get one of those fights Yusuke doesn't like, where it's about the, you know, there's stakes involved, because there's the biological weapons and the scientist.
Perhaps the purpose of these fights was to put us in the headspace of the protagonist, because if the protagonist doesn't like the fight, we as the audience should not like the fight either.
Well, I wanted to point out, like, because I like how it's mostly because it's funny, but it starts out like the scientist is like, oh yeah, we have a 99.95 chance of victory, and it's like, how? You mean a 0% chance of victory? Because that's just how it goes. Like, it wouldn't be interesting if he was correct, so therefore he must be wrong.
Yeah, and it's also like, it doesn't matter at all, but it's kind of like, what are you using to get those calculations? Like, he's got a little machine, but I'm like, what all are you factoring into these calculations that, like, oh, now we have a 50-something% chance. What happened?
Yeah, no, yeah, because I guess it's to establish that the characters, like, well, because, like, again, it's emotional power, so it's like when they care more about the fight, they're going to fight stronger, you know, and then, like, and now, because, like, it gets to the point where they're fighting, like, you know, they, like, Kuwabara has his, you know, connection thing, where he gets, like, the backstory, which I don't remember if they actually expand on, like, how he can do that, because he kind of did the same thing in the Yukina Rescue, where he saw Yukina's past, I don't remember if they expand on that in the future. It's the thing that happens.
Yeah, it's also weird Togashi bullshit, but at least it's consistent weird Togashi bullshit.
Oh yeah, also there's Hiei and Kurama have to deal with, like, some giant robot thing because they're being pulled away from the fight. That happens.
And then when they come back, they're like, oh, we were able to find the guy who did the thing, and we were able to heal him because your little henchman guy told us. Although I guess there wasn't really anything of, like, I mean, it's fine. There's no real complaint, but it's kind of like, how much time did you have? When did your fight occur in relation to this fight, and how much? I don't know.
I guess because I'm at that point. There is a bonus chapter like literally halfway through that, so we have to go stop our discussion of this round halfway through. The how Hiei and Kurama met.
Spoilers for the 2018 Yu Yu Hakusho OVA.
Oh, is that okay? That's right. I totally forgot there was a new project and I didn't know what it was. But okay, so it adapted this.
Yeah,
All
it
right,
adapted this,
sense.
and then I think there's like a chapter towards the end that wasn't in the anime that gets brought in.
That's cool. Did you watch those? Oh yeah, I guess so because you're talking about them. Duh.
Well, I was gonna say I haven't seen the OVAs, so I don't know. But
okay,
I just happened to look
at
it up because I thought it was weird because especially with like the anime airing in the like era that it did, where it's just kind of the continuous thing, and there were already like some potential pacing issues because of how they were adapting things. So I'm kind of surprised, maybe even like between arcs or something that they didn't adapt this as just like an episode or something.
That's so, because like we talked about that with One Piece too, because they don't adapt the cover stories. They did the first two with the Buggy and Kobe ones, but like none of the other ones, even though it's prime fucking filler content, it's canon filler content. It comes back into the main story. Just adapt the cover stories.
But at least like with this one, like as we were able to see with the popularity polls that came out, because we had two of them across the stretch. Hiei's a popular character, the most popular character according to these popularity polls. And depending on which one you're looking at, Kurama is the second and or third most popular character.
I think that the popularity poll was during the Chu fight, so we completely skipped it.
But yeah, so like I could see maybe the reason why like the One Piece stuff didn't get adapted was because I thought I remember hearing that like they did the Buggy, the very first one or whatever, and like I don't know, it didn't perform super well, so they kind of just stopped. But like for this one, these are two of the most popular characters in the series, and there's a little story about, it's a little origin story for them, so it is especially strange. Like with the cover arcs in One Piece, I kind of get it because maybe they're not the most popular characters in the series. Maybe they won't.
Yeah, like it's oh boy, an episode about caribou. I'm gonna skip this one. That's fair. But anyway, so yeah, going back to the popularity poll, Hiei was first. I think like I've seen compilations of like the most popular characters by like votes. And, like, so keep in mind, like, One Piece is insanely popular, and Luffy has, like, usually gets, like, over 10,000 votes. Hiei has 18,000 votes. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I think part of it is, like, if you look, like, there's also, like, a way, like, it's, like, there's a huge drop-off after Hiei and Yusuke.
No, it goes from Hiei has 18,000, Yusuke has 17,000, Kurama has 8,000, Kuwabara at 4th place has 1,600.
Insane. Like Hiei like has more votes than basically everyone after Kurama combined. No, actually, like maybe even if you include Kurama, like it, because after when you get to 5th place, I don't even think it. Yeah, Botan is just over 1,991, and so it's 6th place is only 800. Like Jesus Christ, the scale. Like so, like with One Piece, Luffy has way less votes than Hiei, but the votes are also much closer, because I think Zoro and Sanji, or who else has been up in the top 4? Ace, or no, was Ace up there? Or Law was up there once. They have a lot of votes too. So it's like, with One Piece it's more balanced. With Hiei, it's so slanted towards him. Like, holy shit. I didn't actually pay much attention to it.
Neither had I until you mentioned it. Because, like, the only one who's anywhere close is Yusuke. And even then, he's got a pretty decent edge on him.
Yeah, it's really only 400 votes, honestly.
Oh,
like
I didn't read the numbers right.
He is 18, then 18,162, and Yusuke is 17,858. So he's only that's only 300 votes behind. So pretty good.
There's this like Kirishima guy who I'm guessing was like a classmate or something at the school, because I'm like, who is this? Who's this person?
I'm also like, who is this? When did they show up? Who is this? And Togoro Brothers did not very well. Though it's also interesting because does your scan have the Shonen Jump the with the asterisk for the U.S. Shonen Jump underneath. Because mine says it says first place Hiei, but then second underneath it in a box it says first place with 4,146 votes. That was the American Shonen Jump. They had a popularity poll for Yu Yu Hakusho characters. If you do, so you don't see that.
Oh, so what I had done was because of the site I'm using, the full page spreads were cut in half. So I ended up looking up the fan translation of it. So I don't have the Shonen Jump one in front of me.
So I'll read it. I'll read it out to you because I have it. So yeah, first place was Hiei with 4,146 votes. Second place was Kurama with 3,181 votes. Third place was Yusuke with 2,061 votes. So Kurama was more popular with America at this point. Well, see, I don't know. I guess they would have had to do this poll beforehand. But also, the Togoro brothers are at 7th place with 200. Like the Togoro, they got more votes in America than they did in Japan. So I wonder how many people like already knew about the manga or how far was the anime along.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, because I definitely think it depends. Because like by the time of the first popularity poll, that was only shortly after. We hadn't gotten the most interesting, Togoro content, so...
Yes, but yeah, I think we get that later. There's another poll later, so we'll see what happens, but even then, it's not quite at the end of the arc, so, But anyway, continuing on, Botan gets 4th place instead of 5th place with 592 votes. Kuwabara gets 5th instead of 4th with 549 votes.
No love for my boy Kuwabara.
Yeah. Keiko got 6th place instead of 8th place with 218. Who's 7th was Togoro. Suzaku was 8th place with 187. So, Togoro placed above Suzaku in the America, where Suzaku placed like at 6th with the Togoro brothers being like the runners up at like 11th or 10th. Yeah, 11th. With 10th place was Rando, who also got 10th place in America. Koenma was 9th place in America, and who was 8th?
Where'd you say Keiko was?
Keiko was 8th in Japan, 6th in America.
Okay.
Oh, Suzaku was 8th, and then Kirishima was 11th, and I'm like, who the fuck is he? Unless, is it supposed to be, no. Is it supposed to be Kurama's human form? No, that's not it at all. He looks different, yeah. He looks different, yeah. So I'm like, well, who is he and why is he ranking so, like, at all? But yeah, so kind of interesting to see like the numbers swap around a bit, especially Togoro being notably more popular in America. But anyway, back to the prologue chapter that with the two most popular boys. First off, we get some pieces of shit who are talking about luring girls to this abandoned place, and they get presumably murdered, or I forget. Yeah, by the demon. Then anyway, Kurama's being chased by another demon, and there's a girl involved, who she's interested in the occult. Then Hiei comes in, and he believes he's after Kurama, and when, cause he thinks he's a minion of 8 hands, the demon. But it was just a misunderstanding. Like, they do the comic book thing, where it's like, gotta get the characters fighting, but it's gotta be a misunderstanding, because they can't actually fight for a real reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they fight 8 hands, and they beat him. What'd you think?
It was a chapter. I mean, like, it's cool to kind of, it was some Kurama Hiei content that I hadn't known existed before. So I guess
that's right, because
cool.
it wasn't in the anime, yeah.
A little bit of things, or a little bit of story that I'm reading for the first time. But I mean, it wasn't, I don't know, like, it wasn't that interesting of a story.
Yeah. And like, it kind of, like, I don't think it adds, like, because I guess we see, like, oh, this is how Hiei came to trust Kurama before Kurama was like, nah, I'm gonna take this mirror and dip, and which pissed Hiei off, along with the, so I guess we saw that happened, but yeah, it's fine. But anyway, back to the science boy and his machine men, or his brainwashed guy. Gets pretty dark because they like literally want to die because of the state they're in. And then of course we get the backstory where it turns out like their master was dying and they obviously didn't want to lose him, so they sacrificed themselves to the doctor for him. And of course it turns out the master does actually come back or come to the fighting.
Yeah, this to me was the least interesting of the fights.
Fair.
Like, I guess there was maybe some sort of like thematic thing where it's like, oh, like they're here to fight demons or whatever, but like, oh, you won't fight a human or something. But it's also,
and
it's not quite in the same way that like Chapter Black will do later, where it's like the humans are actually evil. They're being like mind control manipulated.
Yes. And then well, there is a bit with like, because obviously the students they went with the doctor because they didn't want their sensei to die, and then obviously like the sensei didn't want them to do this either, but it's because I think there was just a little moment where he's like he was cured, but he's still basically dead, and he's asking them to turn away so like they don't see him when he dies, because obviously that's like the one thing they don't want, but instead they embrace him and feels, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The fight also ends in more like Togashi bullshit, because like Genkai does the power where she like purifies them, which is, I don't know, like it's not necessarily bad because that's just kind of the power system. This whole like
the power system
aura stuff is
like, it's basically like Baby Nen meets Fairy Tail, because it's even emotion driven. Like that's like, what is Fairy Tail if not emotion driven? It's like powers. So. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I'm comparing Yu Hakusho and Fairy Tail again, and not even like in a way to throw Fairy Tail under the bus. I'm gonna get stoned. They're gonna throw rocks at me, Mathwiz. So anyway, next with the fighting with the Shadow Channelers, who are all like most of them like use some kind of elements. Hiei and Genkai get trapped in the barrier by the nurse demon. This is another one, like maybe I mostly remember the nurse, but I remember seeing the anime for it on TV.
For some reason, I had thought that like when Hiei was trapped here, like somehow the magic barrier the person was creating was like somehow healing his arm, but that wasn't the case at all. So I don't know how I got confused on that.
Okay. I mean, it was recovering, but so I guess I can understand why you saw the connection, but or saw a potential connection. But yeah.
And I think the way the other characters had kind of talked about it too, it almost seemed like he would never be able to use that arm again. But maybe they just meant he'll never be able to use the dragon again, which was also incorrect.
Which wasn't even true. Right. Well, because like in retrospect, it definitely makes sense where like he has to use all of his spirit energy to summon the dragon, and like he exhausted so much spirit energy, he can't easily fight, so he needs to recover that energy slowly.
Yeah.
So.
It's I do think it's kind of interesting how, because this happens with Kurama too, where Togashi introduces early on this like power up sort of thing that they have, but they can't use it again immediately. Like it's something that they have to figure out how to work, and then they use it again later in the final fights.
Yep.
Also, there was I think in between these rounds, there was a thing where like Koenma, that's his name, he shows up and he like mentions the egg again, the beast egg from the Spirit Detective stories.
That's been like just chilling, and oh yeah, that like Yusuke's even like, what egg?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the fight with Kurama and the fucking what's his name, the blood guy, like had some moments that were cool. Like I liked when
I can't use my arms or my legs. Let me just use my hair whip. And
that's aesthetic as fuck.
It is.
And then of course there was also the part where like he's trying to punch him and Kurama's like dodging, but it's like, I got my blood on you anyway. That was because like his power was always with his blood, so it's like when he's wounded, so he's using the fact that he's wounded to trap Kurama, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Then there's the ice guy.
Yeah, I guess these fights are kind of interesting in that, like, the characters are kind of being forced to fight with limitations, so it's not in the same way of, like, Nen limitations, where they're, like, I don't know if I'd say with Nen there are always, like, outcomes you can sort of predict based on abilities, but, like, I don't know. There's a little more. What am I looking to say here? I'm not quite sure, but like, with these fights, like we just kind of see characters do things we might not have known they could do before, like Kurama using the whip, using his his hair with the aura to fight, which I don't know.
Yeah, well, because like Togashi definitely kind of does the like, oh, I bet you didn't know I could do that, which it's fine if it like makes logical sense. Like, yeah, we have always known Kurama could just do plant stuff, and why not make a whip from his hair? That's like something that falls in the rules. But sometimes it's like like early on he established Kuwabara can manipulate his it's technically like a sword, but it could also be whatever the fuck he wants. So like later on against Elder Togoro, he like makes it into a fly swatter.
Yeah.
So it's so it's like, yeah, it doesn't fit within what's kind of like makes sense.
There are some endings to the fights which are like, oh, that was clever, that was pretty cool, and then there are other ones where it's like, oh, okay, they can do that, that's cool. And I mean, like, that's not to say that the moments aren't cool, because like we said, Kurama doing some of the stuff, it's aesthetic as fuck. The part where he like puts the plant seeds in his like wounds or whatever, because like, oh, the blood is where something aura is connected to it, which I think was like established in that fight. But I mean, I guess I guess what I'm trying to say is like, well, no, we kind of already said it. Never mind.
Yeah, but anyway, but yeah, Kurama like manages to take down two of them, even though he gets like kind of like fucked up in the first one. But then the third one kind of abuses the rules to be statistic, and
because he didn't fall down, so he's still standing.
Yeah.
Although I do like how Yusuke flips that back on him later, where he's like, oh, my ribs, hang on, I can't fight, and he's like, wait, but you're still standing.
He's such a little bitch. Yeah, like because he's talking about like because yeah, he can dish it out, but he can't take it. So and Yusuke destroys it like pretty, like I'm looking and like yeah, the fight ends pretty quick. It looks like he basically gets up and he blows away the fog and the chapter ends. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to wrap this up in a 2-page spread. I wonder if that was a Viz-ism or if it was actually because it's fine either. Like, because some of the Viz-isms are fine. It's when it interrupts with the meaning that I'm kind of like
the fan translation was kind of just like, I'm going to beat you or something. It was more generic, but I liked the 2-page spread prediction thing because it's meta.
Exactly. Like, it breaks the fourth wall for a fight that isn't super important anyway. So majorly, but it's
but it's not like it would
funny.
Be the first time the fourth wall has been broken, because Togashi's done that a couple times with characters saying things.
Yes. But anyway, so yeah, he beats him pretty handily. And then we get the Jin fight where this one I remember it from the Super Watch Wolf video because he has a really bad Irish accent and Super Watch Wolf reacts to it.
Yeah.
Which is because so that was pretty funny. Like, okay, actually this is completely unrelated, but one thing I want to say, like seeing the Super Watch Wolf panel is like he has jokes in his videos and stuff, but they're like nowhere close to how funny the dude is in real life. Like, holy shit, he's like, maybe it comes out on like his podcasts and Let's Plays and stuff. But Super Watch Wolf is a really funny guy. He's great. Oh my god. So I just wanted to mention that while I'm on the subject.
Yeah, we get it. You're best friends now.
Friendship end with Mathwiz. I'm friends with Super Watch Wolf now.
I'm gonna be replaced.
Anyway, we got the Jin fight. What did you think about the Jin fight?
It was fun, and you kind of talked about earlier how it sort of connects to the previous fight with Chu and then the later fight with Togoro about like the difference between what fighting can be.
Yes, with Yusuke, where he enjoys this one, and because he's just fighting, and they're doing he's doing the windy shit, and yep, and then Yusuke wins. Oh, and then after he knocks Jin into the stands, Yukina shows up, which leads to I think this is what I'm thinking of. Oh yeah, so that's right. Yusuke was technically out of bounds, and the announcer didn't start the count soon enough, so it's a draw between Jin because they technically both lost from being out of bounds. So Kuwabara has to fight. So what did you think about this victory of Kuwabara's?
I mean, it's clearly just like a lighthearted sort of, oh, he gets the love power boost, which...
Yeah, the emotion power boost, and this is probably the funniest moment in the manga for me, because like I just, I guess, completely forgot it. Like, he's getting all this stone armor, and I'm thinking, like, okay, here we go, here's another fight. Then he sees Yukina, and he's like, it's fucking one-shots him.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it was good. Because, yeah, emotion, love, power up. Fuck yeah.
See, and like,
because that's the thing. It's emotions, so it's like, the author knows exactly how to push their characters' buttons so they could easily do stuff like this. And it's funny.
Yeah. And that's another one of those things, like I was talking about earlier, where, even if you are going to do the fighting all the time, you can also break it up with, like, tonal juxtaposition. And so that happens here, where we just get a nice little, like, moment of levity where Kuwabara just, instead of the power of friendship, it's the power of love, and he just one-shots the guy. And, like, that's more interesting than, like, an actual fight, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Because it's just, like, we already had all these, like, fights, so it's, just end it. So, I guess I didn't mind it for that reason. Also, there's a cutaway, because there's the guy who was, like, fucking around with the Yusuke's team, and he's, Sakyo and, Togoro come in, and he was like, yeah, that would, you were pretty obvious. Like, I guess, points for cleverness, but holy shit, you suck. And then Togoro fucking, like, flicks him and explodes his brain.
More graphic violence.
Yeah, Togoro's like, that's like the second, like, old fucking rich asshole that he just fucking murders. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that because you'd mentioned something earlier that kind of caught my attention. Like how the brackets were probably structured this way so that Yusuke could get stronger because that's what Togoro wanted. And so what I would imagine then is, like, with all the constant interference, Togoro probably, like, I'd imagine, because, like, here you see he gets involved when the interference is so, like, blatant and obvious and one-sided. So, like, he doesn't care necessarily if, like, the odds are going to be stacked against Yusuke's team, because, that'll push him to get stronger. But, like, if there's any chance that it'll, like, cost them the match, because that's going to take away Togoro's fight with Yusuke. He doesn't want that. So when this guy is like, wait, no, this isn't... I got to make it so my team wins. They're like, nah, sorry, bud.
Right. And there's even a part where, like, I think it was a little earlier, they even said, like, yeah, if their team can't get out of this, they're not even worth it, kind of thing, which is close, but not, like...
Oh, yeah, I guess they did say that. I forgot about that.
Right. So,
but it's still, like, similar, I guess.
Yeah, no, it is. But anyway, Kuwabara wins, and it's over. Or this round is over. We're already three rounds deep, so we're getting there. Like, this is how long are we discussing? Over an hour, so actually quite a bit. So anyway, more cool down time. Kuwabara's bragging to Yukina. And then we get a Yusuke Keiko moment where Yusuke sexually harasses her.
No! Because I was like, everything else about that moment was cute, but then that's what you let off with. And I'm like, no!
I mean, okay, so, like, I will say, like, the interactions between these two this arc did finally push them over Gray and Juvia, so this is my favorite, like, romance couple we've done so far on the Nen Show. I'll say that.
A tremendous accomplishment, indeed.
Tremendous accomplishment. Yu Hakusho was finally better than Fairy Tail. No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, no, I do think that their dynamic is interesting. And this kind of ties back to, like, the comment Keiko had made earlier, where she was like, "Oh, I don't want to let him know that I'm here because it could throw him off his game or whatever." And, he looks like he's in his element. He looks like he's enjoying himself, which, he couldn't do, back at school or whatever, because, like, he was always cast as the delinquent or whatever. But, like, here he's in an environment where, he can fight and he can kind of just be himself.
Right.
But, yeah, like, I guess you could say like the sexual harassment isn't great, but like their relationship I think is one that we know that Yusuke is not the most morally upstanding person, and like Keiko knows that too, and like she's kind of there to like she knows what he's been through, and so not to say that like she lets him get off the hook with it because he does get the slap and whatever because
yes yeah,
but it's like
that's the thing, the character does the pervy thing and they get their shit kicked in. Like even the girls are able to like stand up. The girls are always able to like as strong as the guys when it comes to pervy like shit reactions.
That's
like,
their power boost
or being stupid, or because again with like there's the SBS comments about like with how does Nami hurt Luffy even though he's made of rubber, and the answer is power of love because she cares about him, so she's able to beat the shit out of him so even though he's rubber because he's stupid. And so here's Yusuke being stupid for different reasons, but no, they are good together.
But yeah, just like the whole Yusuke's character being what it is and Keiko kind of understanding that, and I don't know, there are definitely points I think more so later on where it's like, Keiko, you deserve better, but at the same time like a large part of why their relationship works is that I don't know, because again, like I wouldn't say she lets Yusuke get off the hook with things, but she is willing to kind of give him more credit because she knows that he has a good side. He's emotionally repressed and he's misunderstood and he just needs someone to love him.
Maybe he'll grow up and stop being a pervert one day. Anyway, so yeah, the egg hatches. It's a little duck, bunny, bird thing. I don't know. It's poop. And like everyone laughs at it because it's doofy looking, just like Yusuke's a doof.
Well, yeah, it's a reflection of Yusuke's interior self, and so on the inside, Yusuke's just a fluffy little bunny penguin, whatever thing.
Whatever the fuck it is, yeah. He's just. I'm just like, because he's got like the same Pooh keeps having the same neutral expression. No, like because I'm just looking at the pages where like Yusuke comes in and he's like angry because he's being laughed at, and then after that he's determined because they're gonna go watch some of the fights, and Pooh's just like sitting there both times with the same just vacant expression. Yeah. So I don't know, something about that makes me laugh.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at one of the panels I screen capped, and Pooh is like sitting on his head, and he's just like staring blankly forward, and it's like, oh god. The stories behind those eyes. What has he seen?
He's seen every waking moment of Yusuke. So anyway, they go watch Team Togoro, and they bump into the evil fairy tales.
Oh, yep.
Of course, they're always Japanese fairy tales.
The evil fairy tale, yes. Yusuke and the Yu Hakusho team defeat Fairy Tail and vanquish it from our memories forever.
You got me there. Okay, see, I wanted to make this into like a meme image, but like I realized it would be way too much work. But I was gonna do the scene on before Saboti where Zoro sees Kami and he like forgets Kokoro and he's like, oh, first time for everything. I wanted to make a joke of that into like you forgetting Fairy Tail. But I realized it would be too much work, so I just didn't. But yeah. So anyway, Genkai reveals herself to Yusuke, and she does a spirit gun and turns younger because that's how her powers work. Oh yeah, now we get Yusuke's test. Where you have to kill me, and he goes in, he's like, no, and she's like, okay, good. There is that was the test.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is one little line of dialogue that I'm not sure if I'm supposed to take it at face value and say that she's being entirely honest, knowing what she said earlier and what she says later about like her morals and stuff. But she's like, oh, as if I would train someone who would kill me. But I'm like, Rando though. You said you would. You
wanted to, yeah, or you were willing to. Like she said, I'd train whoever, and Rando was literally someone who would kill her.
And she had also, but then she also says later, like she's not against certain villains or whatever exactly the phrasing was, but she's like, but you in particular, I don't like you.
Oh, that's right. During the in the fight against the fairy tales, where she's like, "Oh, you're just some justice," and Genkai's like, "Eh."
So I don't know if it was more just kind of like
that's
a thing she said to show like, you know, maybe she's grown closer to Yusuke. She's like, as if I would train someone, but it's more like, I don't know.
Or is it visisms? Like, are they just being like?
Well, I don't think it's a visism because I thought I remember that being brought up in the anime too.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair.
Unless maybe it was a dubism.
That the trends, like, I don't think we've had like Naruto had some flubs, and with like One Piece I knew because like I think I mentioned back on Jaya when Blackbeard mentions hockey in the original Japanese and the colored translation, but the Viz translation didn't include it because I guess, and they actually had the opposite meaning when in the line that they said, you know. So like, you know, so I at least know some of them, but like Yu Yu Hakusho's I don't know as well, like, and there, you know, apparently there is like, I have only read the story like, apparently, you know, I think I read the original Viz, or maybe some of it actually some of it might have been fan translated, so I don't even, the last volumes probably, but it's and it hasn't been in a while anyway. I just don't know Yu Yu Hakusho as well to be able to like point out all the possible Vizisms or mistranslations, or because it's weird, so we haven't had this issue before really.
It's kind of funny though because it's almost the inverse of the fairy tale problem where you're like, oh, so many of the problems I had with it were because of these fan translations, whereas here it's like, but the problems are with the official translation.
Maybe, or maybe it might be in the original too. I just don't know because I've only experienced like some of the manga, and even then, the other time I did it was so long ago, I don't even know. You know, I don't remember all the details that might have been changed in the translation. So, but yeah, this is like a big moment for like because it differentiates Yusuke and Togoro, because Togoro is willing to get strong no matter what, and Yusuke isn't, and so Genkai is able, like, you know, because he's, you know, willing to, you know, has that like will to integrity, you could say that, you know, Genkai does give him the spirit orb so he can get stronger,
and then he explodes and dies for a few days.
That again, he's died before. It's okay.
It's another one of those like things that I always kind of think. Whenever I think of like the, you know, the quote unquote ass pull power up, I always think back to like the thing of Goku in the first Piccolo arc, where like he takes a shot of whatever the mystery holy water is, and then he like writhes on the ground for a bit, and it's like, oh, I can relate to that, and I understand what he's going through. But like, I don't know if there's really much of a difference if you can like actually see like, oh, Yusuke's got like he's all cut up and he's got like wounds and stuff. Like, I don't know if that makes it any different, but
it does make it,
like, with the nature of this power up and how it was like tied into his character arc and like the passing of the torch stuff and Genkai's arc, like it works. I don't have any problems with it.
Yeah, it's fine. But anyway, since Yusuke is... See, now we get another fight where Yusuke is, you know, like, a strong character is out of, like, commission, so the other guys have to, you know, manage. And so, you, like, it's 3 against 5, more or less, with the fairy tale. I don't know, I forget what their team name is, so I'm just gonna call them Hiromashima's Fairy Tale. So Hiromashima's Fairy Tale comes in, and they use the dice for their matches, so they're just, you know, random, but then if the person's not there or whatever, it's choice, you know, they could just, so, anyway, the first part is fine because it's, you know, like Hiei like cuts off his hand when he doesn't, like,
yeah,
oh, you're bleeding already, like, what an asshole.
And the guy doesn't even like feel it somehow. He's just like, what are you talking about? Ah.
And yeah, he just kills him, so at least it was over with quickly.
Yeah, those see, part of me kind of wonders, although I guess Kurama had his moment too, but I thought I remember someone in the comments, which I don't, I guess have a source to back this up other than the person who said it in the comments, and I don't know what their source was, but they had said something like, oh, Hiei was going to originally be like a one-off villain guy, but then he was popular, so he came back. But like, now that I know like Hiei's, you know, number 1 in the popularity poll 2 times running, I almost wonder if like Hiei got these 2 fights and like the moment to just be a badass because like he's a popular character, so let's go ahead and
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah,
I don't
see,
have
I
a
always
problem
wondered
with
about
it
that,
because
'cause,
Hiei
like-
is a badass and these fights are cool.
yeah, and they're just like, yeah, you just can see Hiei doing something cool. It's cool. So yeah, then after that is Hiei versus Hisoka. No, not really, but like aspects of his like clothes made me think about like the vest. I think in particular maybe goes like, hey, this seems a little familiar. I don't know why.
Huh. I guess I didn't get that vibe because I'm thinking.
No,
I don't know.
Who are you thinking?
I mean, like, I guess maybe like the jacket and stuff.
It's a pretty like I don't know why I got that. Maybe it's because I don't think about Hunter x Hunter as much, or I haven't thought about it in a while. But like I just saw the vest and like for some reason I just went Hisoka. I don't know.
Yep, Hisoka the Beast Man, the guy who could transform into beasts.
Yeah. At that point it was like, okay, no Hisoka here. But yeah, he has a power where he can memorize things that he's taken damage from. So he's invincible if he's been hurt before.
Yeah, so he like slices off his fingers so that he can like get the strength of the sword or whatever.
Yep, and then
oh, that's right. I love the conclusion of this fight. Not necessarily for the way it ends, but what happens afterwards.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it's because, or you mean because he doesn't like how I didn't want to use this ability because it's too too much like Kuwabara. Yes. That part's funny, yeah. Because this is also like, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it is kind of like a ability coming out of nowhere. But at least it makes sense why you wouldn't use. It's a petty reason, but that adds a bit of humor to it, like because I will say, like, I don't think the characters are like, except for Yusuke, I wouldn't say like most of the, like, I do like Hiei and Kuwabara. Kurama's just kind of there. He has moments, I guess, but they're definitely likable. Like, the cast is likable, So outside of Yusuke, I don't think they're particularly interesting. But yeah, they have good interactions. They're fine, And the little stuff like this, Yeah,
they do have good interpersonal banter, and I think that's what makes. I think I could see why some people might prefer this core group of 4 to the Hunter x Hunter cast, because they do have the more like there's more camaraderie, I think, with the Hunter x Hunter group, but like here there's more I keep saying banter, but like what's the actual word I'm looking for, where like there's some like cynicism in there too, where like they're always taking jabs at each other and stuff.
Right, which I find relatable, because I'm always like, here the average conversation with what I have with what the what, it starts with him adding me and saying, "Hey Craftsdwarf, why do you suck?" And I'm just like, "Fuck you!" Like, this is how we open up our conversations. Like, I get it, it's relatable, but and like that's what I'm coming to realize reading the Dark Tournament. Like, I'm understanding more why people like Yu Yu Hakusho, even though I don't personally like. Yeah, the Dark Tournament has cool stuff to it, but it's like I like the meaningful conflicts, and it's got like a couple of those, but it's overall not as much. And like, yeah, the characters have these little moments between them, but I that's also not specifically like what I like from a character, so to speak. Like, I do like interesting, like likable characters, sure, but I also like it when they're interesting, and
yeah, because like what does Hiei using his flame sword say about his trust theme from the prior arcs? Not much, really.
And that's the thing, is like, yeah, I wouldn't say that like, yeah, Hiei or like, yeah, like outside of Yusuke, like none of them really get a lot of character stuff this arc, even though they're having all these fights, and it's like, well, fights are a great way to explore a character, and that's not really being done.
Actually, it's
outside of Yusuke.
It's kind of funny that I mentioned the specific example I did, because you could maybe say, oh, Hiei using, Kuwabara's ability, even though, maybe there's some level there. But more like the Dragon of the Darkness Flame, what does that have to do with trust? That has nothing to do with it.
I mean, there's definitely some, well, like, I guess, yeah, not trust, but I guess, like, there is a sort of, well, there's a comparison with Bui later, but we'll get to that. So anyway, next up is Reverse Urashima versus Kurama. Urashima's the lies, and then
his power backfires on him. He's like, oh, I'm going to revert you to your pre-human state. And then it's like, oh no, but Kurama's a demon.
Yeah, didn't work out for you, did it, buddy?
I thought it was kind of funny because I don't know if it was also in the original Japanese, but like in the English dub, the announcer like, okay, in the anime, the like the cat girl announcer, she gets like more personality and like things to do, because, you know, with more time, there's more padding and stuff. But like in the when Kurama does this like transformation, she's like, oh, look at this hunk or whatever, and honestly, that's a mood.
She's she's nice.
But no, yeah, it's just really funny.
I should have seen that coming.
Although personally, I think I personally would prefer, you know, the what's the name of the human that Kurama is? I totally forgot.
Oh, fuck.
But I like the red-haired Kurama more than the fox. But you know, I just thought it was funny because I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a different kind of aesthetic, but I can appreciate.
No, yeah, that's fair. And they have, like, the face is different. You know, there's some usually. I feel like since it's more serious, there's more detail too, because Togashi be like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different aesthetic. But anyway, so yeah, like Kurama instills fear in Urashima. Urashima's about to spill some secrets, and he gets stabbed and dies. And Kurama reverts. We cut away to Yusuke. He's dying, but Pooh is helping, and you kind of get like Yusuke's character, you know, like he's, you know, struggling.
It's because, you know, he's like, oh, I'm gonna die here, but because he sees someone else struggling for his sake, that's when he's like, ah, shit, you know, I gotta.
Yeah, he's reminded of basically the whole first arc, and he's like, nah, I'm fine. You know, he doesn't, and that's, he gets like, I just realized, like, looking at this moment again, it's kind of reminiscent of some Luffy moments where he comes to Genkai and he's like, obviously like more fucked up, but he's like, no, what about Pooh? Can you help Pooh? You know, like, where that reminds me of like Luffy and Ample Downer on Drum, where he's like fucked up, but he's like, oh, Mr. 2, Sanji and Nami, can you help them? Like, it's good Shonen boy moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But like, yeah, for him in particular, though, it is more of the self-hatred sort of thing, because like, you know, when someone else is doing something for his sake, you know, he doesn't want to be like a burden on them or whatever. So he's like, ah, shit, I gotta kick my ass in gear.
Yeah, practically his defining characteristic. Yeah. So it's good. Anyway, now we get the Waka, who has the fangirls, all the cute like demon monster girls who are like into him. And yeah, he fights Kurama, and he's like, no, I'm not fighting Kurama. Or no, Kuwabara. Why did I say Kurama? Fuck, I'm an idiot. Oh, that's right. But he does. In going to the old tournament site, he runs into all the girls, the team Urameshi groupies. You could say.
Yeah, because they went to the wrong stadium because they didn't know that they moved, and so then we get a little more of a bit of a break for levity and stuff.
Yes, before going to Genkai, and then this is Oh, and here's the panel that really made me think, like, oh yeah, Togashi loves drawing Togoro, because Genkai gets unmasked, and they're like, hey, they swapped out the contestants. They're cheating, and Togoro covers for them, and he's like, yeah, no, they're the same. Shut up. And they're like,
yeah.
What? But there's like this panel where like Togoro's holding the microphone, and he's got like I'm looking at his fingers are detailed. He's got shading on his face. He's got like a shit-eating grin. His clothes have like fabric that have like little folds in them. Yeah, and I'm just like, fuck, Togashi loves drawing this man. He really does. Also, I only noticed it now, but like there's also like an announcer lady who there's even a like little like note in the sidebar where it says, I get carried away by personal taste, because this lady is also hyper detailed, like her fucking hair, like Jesus Christ, and she's almost like a photo in some of the ways she's like beautiful.
Yeah, she was like one of the just like random women that he would just like draw at random spots in the manga.
Yeah, but this time he put her in the manga. Yeah, it's I just noticed that, and it's like, Togashi, you're not doing any favors on your back with all this good art. Like, and you mentioned before, like, why are you giving him all these color chapters? Jump, are you trying to kill him? Like, no, yeah, it's. Oh, that's right. Yeah, this is the moment that really solidified the Yusuke Keiko thing for me. Is on the way to the arena, they see Yusuke lying in the woods, and Keiko stays with him, and like, if that was cute.
Yes.
But I'm not quite there yet. But I might bring it up again when we get there. But yeah, Genkai is allowed to fight. So the fight continues. We get the justice speech, and because she does that. Maybe we're not so different, and he gets mad, and she reflects his attack back on him.
Yeah, because she only has enough energy for like the 3 spirit blasts or whatever. But so she doesn't use her energy; she uses his, and bada boom.
Yep, and that leaves the old man, who teleports Kuwabara away again. Like, the poor dude can't get a break, or that's what happens, right? Yeah, he uses like to the same spot too. So it's like, dude can't get a break. But anyway, now we get the Keiko Yusuke moment where she's like, oh, he's taller, and then she like Yusuke like leans on her, and she's like, well, no harm here, and she's just like, yeah, all like, yeah, it's cute.
Yes.
And then they get attacked by demons, but all Yusuke's like friendship fighting battle buddies come to help. So,
yes. It was also kind of funny when they're just like the little like comments they made, because they're like, oh, so this is, he looks human, like he doesn't look like the fighting machine that they had like seen before.
Yeah.
And then like he'd also made like some sort of comment in his sleep or whatever, and it's like, oh, so you have that kind of relationship. Yes. And Keiko's like, no.
Because like Jin like pulls on his cheek, and she's, don't Keiko, don't treat me like a kid all the time. And then they're just it's good.
I also really liked Keiko's outfit in this stretch of chapters. Like, there was, in particular, when they first like had their little meetup scene, Togashi did one of those like characters standing in front of the panels, and it's just it's good.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes. Yes. Anyway, so back to the fighting. The old man gets up against Genkai, and he turns out to be a literal clown.
But it's
Hisoka. No, not even close.
Yeah, and it kind of like subverts the saving the best for last, because he is like, I hate the elderly. I'm a spooky dude, and then he just gets beaten up. Genkai didn't even have to use her aura. She's just like, I'm gonna punch you because I'm physically strong.
Yeah, like he's got a whole speech that I'm reading, and he has a whole thing about how he doesn't have an identity, but he also wants to be
he wants to be remembered, but he won't show his face.
Yes.
So yeah, he wants to be remembered, but he doesn't have an identity, you could say. Which is like, what? He wants to be a myth, but
yeah, and he's like, he's copying techniques. Like it's a kind of experience thing, because he doesn't have. That's right, because she beats him up, and I can't even see her real face under all the bruises and the swelling. So, yep, and that's it. Anyway, we're almost to the final round, I believe. So we get a little bit of a preview with Karasu and Bui, where they're fighting the Ocha Rangers. Is that a Super Sentai reference? Probably. Or what were you gonna say?
No, I wasn't gonna say anything. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah. Okay. And then Karasu destroys his dude. Bui pulls out a giant fucking axe, and the
guy's like, there's no way he'll ever swing that so fast at such close range, and then he just gets like cut clean in half, and there's like organs flying, like it splatters into the crowd. It's like, Togashi.
Fucking gross, yeah. And then Elder Togoro defeats the rest of them. Obliterating teamwork is my specialty. I'm so evil. Like, he's so, like, honestly, Elder Togoro kind of hits the comically evil parts at times.
Yeah, and he's like, there was the interesting moment where he mentions, Karasu and Bui once gave us that look too, because, the desire to kill us or whatever. We're just stronger than they are. But he's like, yeah, but, I'm still gonna kill you anyway, blah.
Yeah. I was about to, I just wanted to say, there's a reason Elder Togoro is called Elder Togoro, and Younger Togoro is just called Togoro.
Yeah.
He's the other one, and Togoro is the good one.
He's more kind of like a character to reflect another character. Because, with Togoro, there's a moment later where they interact. Yeah, and it kind of shows.
We'll get to that if that's the one.
Well, yeah, we'll get to it later.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a bit where Karasu creeps on Kurama, where they were watching him and like, wait, Karasu's gone, and then he's just like behind.
Yeah, he's all
Kurama,
cryptic because he's like, oh, one of you will die today, and then he disappears. He's like, Kurama, oh, is Kurama gonna get blown up? No.
Yeah, and then she'll have a kind of moment of like, yeah, we're a bit outmatched here. Then we get two former comrades who fought in the Dark Tournament 50 years ago. But yeah, Toguro and Genkai. This was how'd you feel about this one?
I mean, I think it's interesting for what the backstory, like how it reflects Togoro's character, and it kind of ties in the way that like Genkai's powers change her age, because before it might have just seemed like, oh, it's a convenient way to keep the mystery with Genkai's identity going. But because of like what we learned about Togoro, where he sort of sold his humanity. I really like the line he has later where he's like, I sold my soul but not my standards. Yeah, it's interesting to see. So we kind of get like Genkai in her prime. We get to see her, but we also see Togoro, who decided not to age. He used his wish to gain demonic powers and strength, so he could always stay in his prime and his abilities would never deteriorate. As opposed to Genkai, who chose to live and retain her humanity, and as a result, she had to deal with the flaws of humanity, aging and her abilities leaving her and that sort of thing.
Right, and Toguro, like, he didn't want to lose anything, but at the same time he cut off everyone to do so, and now here he is against what was once like a comrade that he fought alongside. So so got that shonen thing where it's like, no, you gotta accept death and move on, and the young generation has to surpass. And Toguro rejects that, so that's why he's the antagonist.
But it's also, I mean, there's like an interesting ideological conflict behind Togoro's actions. Like, he at one point, I think he says, like he was scared of his abilities sort of deteriorating, and he was scared of aging, and so, I think there was almost like an implied sort of like romance or something between. Maybe not, but like Genkai had said about like growing old together and stuff. But Toguro was like, nah, I don't want that. I don't want to grow old. He
doesn't want, like I said, he doesn't want to lose anything. But in doing so, he cut himself off from everyone, because anyone who is willing to accept, like, it is almost. I'm not sure. It's not a contradiction, but it's like it's more like that's what he was willing to sacrifice to not lose. Like he. The only thing he has complete control over is himself, really. So and he does maybe he could have had a life with Genkai, but he didn't want to see the two of them grow old, and like there is some sort of like
there's even the part where he says like, you're not Genkai, just like the shadow of something or whatever.
He doesn't accept how he cared for the old one, the one in that moment, but obviously she was willing to move on and he wasn't, so he's still like, this isn't you, and that's like obviously wrong. Like he even says like, I should have ended your life while you were strong and beautiful, like that, because that would kind of preserve her in a sense, because he never got to see the old Genkai, and of course she rejects that. I am Genkai. So it's good. And she tries to open his eyes, but she fails. Toguro is too strong. And she was weakening anyway. Like she still puts up a pretty good fight for someone who's
she
losing
blows
all of her
off
power.
His arm almost, but he just has
Well, that was only, I think that was 45% arm, and then he goes 80%.
Okay.
And at that point, she's not able to touch him, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, because she even does like a big final attack, and when Yusuke gets there, she's dead, and he's basically unhurt. So yeah, Toguro too fucking strong. But yeah, Genkai gives her last words. She's like, she explains, like she basically never wanted to do the Dark Tournament again, but she was invited anyway. She tells Yusuke to remember like what matters and why he fights, and that like of course which we've talked about a bit. He wants to protect his friends. He doesn't want them to come to harm, and he enjoys fights where that's not an issue. And of course, but Togoro, of course, forced him into this situation that he's not, like, that. What the first thing he does is he, like, falls to his knees in despair when he finds out what's going on. So it's like, yeah. Togoro talks about how, like, oh, you either grow stronger or die. And Genkai died. So, and yeah, Yusuke's emotions, like, are able to, he, like, cripples Togoro's hand even though he gets fucking wrecked. Like, so that was cool. Cause yeah, Genkai's attack didn't touch Togoro, but Yusuke's attack, like, his hand's all fucked up. So damn.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're almost done. Oh yeah, Kurama and Hiei are doing some practice and training because they need to win. Oh, and here's the moment. One of the moments where I'm just like, yeah, Yu Yu Hakusho's doing the thing. Because, like, the one guy comes by and he, Suzuki, and he gives Kuwabara the sword hilt, and he gives Kurama the juice, the potion. Like, the potion makes sense because, like, it ties into the Urashima stuff. The sword hilt, it's like, okay, like, they're just getting handout power-ups. I thought people didn't like Naruto because Naruto gets handout power-ups instead of, working hard all the time, but here you have, like, oh, they're working hard, and then, oh no, here, just have handout power-ups, because, like, it's not even for its meaningful reasons. Like, Naruto got his stuff and Sasuke got their stuff from the Sage's Six Paths because of, like, who they were and the choices they were making. That was, like, a big thing. And here it's just like, yeah, I don't want Togoro to be right, so I'm gonna, like, because Togoro believes in about power, and he wanted to defeat Togoro, so he gives them more power. So yeah, like, it's, no, again, I don't have a problem with this. It's the only problem I have is with just the idea that people, like, bitch about thing A when thing B does the exact same thing and no one cares, you know? So, because again, I think we've talked about it before, but, like, people way oversell the Naruto hard work thing because, like, when was Naruto popular in the West? The Chunin exams. What was the big theme explored in the Chunin exams? Hard work. Therefore, the only idea about this story is hard work, right? Like, no, like, I don't know. No, there's so much more to Naruto than that, and just, like, reducing it to hard work and not even, like,
yeah, and all, like, the Destiny stuff, which,
like, Plague of Gripes' awful fucking video about Naruto. That's just a joke, and he doesn't even know about Naruto, but it's still 40 minutes long and woefully, like, how much of it did you watch? Like 5 seconds? 5 minutes?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you watch the whole thing? Because I couldn't get through it.
I never watched it, no, because I've just heard a lot of bitching about it because it's, and I've heard some people want to make full responses to it, but no one's, apparently, I think Clyde the Weeaboo did, but it was terrible because he's not a smart guy.
Oh, no. That was, yeah, because I know people kept asking me to do it, but I was like, then I'd have to watch it.
Maybe we should have teamed up and done it because the Shounen boys, those who represent Ashura and Indra, yeah, those who are, teaming up as Ashura to defeat Indra. No, I don't know. I was trying to make an Naruto references.
Anyways, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yes, the series we're actually talking about. But yeah, Koenma talks to Yusuke, and that's the thing about the character death in this series is that, like, they're literally, like, arm in arm with the afterlife, which, Dragon Ball also does, so it's, like, kind of similar there, honestly.
And Bleach, though, like, don't forget Bleach, because that came up.
True, yes.
Late.
With the Fullbrings, yeah. Well, I mean, the spirits are different because, like, they're already dead, like the Soul Reapers and stuff, but that did happen with the Fullbring arc, where it's like, yeah, all these characters die, but they literally just come back for the Blood War. So, yeah. And then, so here you have, like, Koenma comes to deliver a message to Genkai, or from Genkai to Yusuke. Like, she's sick of your face, and she doesn't want to, see you for a while, so don't die, just win. And it's like, she's the harsh mentor, she's I love the kind of, like, it's almost tsundere in a way, but not quite. But yeah, Yusuke puts off a really strong spirit gun in her honor, memory. Then we get the last conflict. Well, first there's a little bit of important stakes, where so, like, they're talking about, like, what they do with the insane profit you win for when your sponsored team makes it through, and the gambling and such too. But So we get some important context on Sakyo because he's well, especially like I think we get some later, but I might as well talk about it now. Where he's basically a sociopath, like he's like, oh, I grew up in a fine environment. Something was just wrong in my brain, and so he wants a tunnel to the demon world so that strong demons can pass easily. Like basically, like yeah, he's just because he's like, oh yeah, I tortured animals and humans, and that got bored for me, so I got into gambling. He's basically incredibly fucked up.
Yeah,
and he just wants to see like horrible shit happen. So he's like, and his interests happen to align with Togoro, who is basically the strongest being in the human world, and so he wants to go to the demon world to fuck shit up and see what's going on over there, because there's stronger demons over there.
And for some reason, like with Sakyo in particular, like Togashi had like an author comment about how like something relating to his villains. Let me pull it up. He had said something like I'm good at thinking up bad guys, and so, I think he said something about like like he feels like he personality wise like resembles some of his villains more. And I don't know, for some reason like Sakyo just kind of like stands out to me as like, I don't know. Is this Togashi? Is this the hidden nihilism with underneath the?
I wonder. Well, oh, that's right. Because last time I talked about like the ways an author puts himself into work is not necessarily like like reflective of them.
No,
like,
yeah.
In that case, that's him saying it, so it's a different. But one person pointed out on my server, there's a game called The Beginner's Guide. It's a kind of walking simulator, so it's not really, but it's definitely related to the subject because kind of the point of the game is that like a creator, like, because that's the thing is if you recognize yourself in your work, you can deliberately like avoid like, and this game is very much about like
yeah, because like there's a way of like recognizing your own biases, and then like if you can recognize it, you can kind of throw it off. So like I'm obviously
like,
not saying that like Togashi is Sakyo, but like I don't know for some reason like that just kind of.
But you get vibes where it's like maybe this is kind of like how he is, especially. When
or even not. It's just interesting that like it still says a little bit of something about his headspace. I think because like the fact that he thought up a character like this, it's just interesting, and it's I'm not saying that like this is reflective of Togashi's personality verbatim or anything.
Yeah, because he might be more reflective of Togoro, who's actually a pretty good guy. Like, we don't know the guy. He's a human being. We don't know him. Well, just to describe this sort of, like, beginner's guide, basically, like, it's sort of a, like, there's one person and his friend who designs, like, levels, and you play through those levels as the person is, like, describing, like, oh, this is what this level says about my friend. But it kind of ends up with like and yeah, that obviously if the game is about that, it's going to explore that. So it was a wild ride. It was only a few hours, so I definitely recommend it. And like it's a walking simulator, so even if it's a video game, like you don't actually it's not really gameplay beyond like moving. So but it's definitely interesting, and I honestly kind of want to replay it after like reconsidering it with like what we were discussing, about like reading into the author from the work, because like the author is a human being. You don't know a human being from reading like messages on Twitter or their works. And you can get personal. That's not to say you can't get personal, but like I wouldn't say like I know Hiro Mashima just because I've I know the thing about his father, and I've read into that and cried over the moments with Haru and Natsu. But I'm that's interesting as an emotional reaction. But I'm not gonna try and pretend like I know Mashima. So it's like. Because I do see that. I see people, or like another one is with Oda, where it's like, oh yeah, Oda draws women this way. He must actually want real women to be like this, and it's like, what?
No, that not. No, like even when I say, when I make like, I feel like I can see a bit of the author in a character or something. That's not to say, oh, I feel like the author is this character or something like.
Yeah. So, but yeah, because like Togashi's not an author I've seen a lot. Like, I've seen a lot of those. Like, I haven't seen that message that you talked about. And even if it was in this reading, I might have just skimmed over it.
I think there's something that comes up later where there was like an interview or something where he mentions like someone in Chapter Black. There was like someone he kind of felt like he connected to, but even then, like when someone says they connect to either a fictional character or even a fictional character that they've created. you can't be inside that person's headspace and understand, like, well, what do they feel like they connect to in that character? So, and people can interpret characters in different ways. So
yeah,
it's tricky.
Because like I've written to go to my fan fiction that I've written is like the two main antagonists on my first one are like they're basically death cultists who want the entire world gone, and I connect to them in ways. I don't connect to them in that way, but like there's like because doing my work and like looking back after the fact, I realized like the elements of myself that are in these characters, and like but again I would but unless you talk to me like specifically talk to me and had me explain what these elements are, or knew me really well and were able to see that in the characters, knowing that. Only then would would I
like you wouldn't just read that
everyone
and say, oh, Craftsdwarf is a death cultist.
Exactly. So yeah, it's it's a subject that is like I'm not I definitely think it's worth considering and talking about, but I definitely feel as though like judgment should not be made about a person because of the art that they make.
Yeah.
Like even if it's bad art, like that's one thing I stand by with the tirade is that like as much as I didn't like Fairy Tail, I never like shot like I think I was disappointed in Mashima and I was like what the fuck. But I was never like Mashima's a terrible person and I hate him. Like I was never anything like that. Like I didn't condone any harassment of him. Obviously, like because authors get death threats, which is just like the most petty, shitty thing I can like. That's horrible. Like why would you do that? They're just fucking making a story that they feel like making. Don't Now
I'm just remembering like people complaining to Kubo about like, oh, if you kill
Byakuya, I'm gonna kill myself. No, stop. Yeah, like
I was thinking more like
because that's the one
I was thinking Hitsugaya
was the one I remember. Hitsugaya, yeah. See, Hitsugaya like Byakuya had the whole. I guess that's the thing is I realized is spoilers because like we keep talking about the old stuff we've already read, like with full spoilers, and sometimes even Hunter x Hunter because we've both gotten through it like twice, So it's like. I'm sorry for anyone who hasn't like gone through.
Yeah, there was a comment.
Listened to the entire.
There's a comment on the last one where it's just like, I wonder if the podcast will eventually get to a point where people who haven't like spent so much time studying shonen will like just not be able to comprehend.
Which would be interesting because like we're reading like imagine a hypothetical Nen Show, or reading something that started this year that's finally got 10 volumes, and we're mentioning like shonens that like no one's fucking heard of because we've watched so much we've read through so much on the Nen Show. Like, oh yeah, remember this thing in Elemental Galade? And like, one of the ones I've never fucking heard of. And I'm just like, but no, it's actually pretty interesting. So it's like, oh my god, what if we hit that point? That's funny.
We'll just eventually get to the point where it's like, oh, My Hero Academia really did a Yu Yu Hakusho with this Naruto One Piece Bleach. And people will just be like, what are they saying?
Oh god, yeah. But yeah, spoil because that's the other thing is spoilers. Because if you haven't read Bleach, I'm about to mention the Byakuya has a part where he like nearly dies, and it's like and people thought he was actually dead, and allegedly Kubo got like hate mail about it, and it turns out the character was alive. So people are like, oh, did he bring this character back because of the mail, or was he always intended to not be dead? Which was the case. I sort of thought reading it because like. The reasons he came back was kind of like important. So, but yeah, that's
also part of why like I'm not super interested in like the speculation side of things, because it's always like you never know like what the author is planning. So you could always say that like, oh, they only brought this character back, or they only did this thing because of this reason.
And they're also not the only like sure, the assistants probably have their own thoughts and stuff. Like the editors especially have a lot of input. So it's like. The author isn't the only creative voice in their work, even if they are the primary one. So there's other things to consider too. But anyway, but yeah, the everyone's been training, practicing, and they're going to the finals. They're gonna do the fight, be the fighty boys against the baddest boys, the men, boys against the men. There we go. Also, it was kind of interesting because neither team has a fifth member. Like, they do. It's just like for Team Togoro, it's actually Sakyo, and Koenma steps in for Genkai because she's dead. So they both have an extra non-combatant. But anyway, so first off is Karasu versus Kurama.
Oh no, I'm so far behind on my panels. I thought like, oh, this one little gag here was from the Togoro fight.
No, go ahead,
it was not. I like the one little part where they did like they had to do the rock paper scissors to decide the thing, and Hiei's like, "What's rock paper scissors?" And also just like, Togashi does this occasionally, where like Hiei's height is conveyed by only his like part of his hair like being present in the panel, so he's like not even in the panel because he's just so short, and it's just like, why you got to do that to my man Togashi?
Because he's so tiny. It's true, yeah. Because I've been pointing that when he was first introduced, because he's like half Goki's height, and yeah, Goki's a big dude, but Hiei is fucking teen. And like, it's even another similar one is Genkai and Togoro, because Genkai goes up to like his fucking knees, and it's like, Jesus Christ, like he's huge and she's small. So
there is also the part.
I think those were. Go on.
Well, if you have something else to finish that thought, go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say those were like from back in other rounds that we've already finished talking about. So go ahead, like, because you're apparently behind on your.
I'm just trying to like rapid fire through them. There was the part where Kuwabara says something about, like, he makes an offhand comment about Hiei, and Botan's like, well, how could you say that? You know, he's Yukina's, and then she's like, oh wait, I can't say that to him, and because it's like a cutaway where it's like Hiei is like a tiny little bat, and he's like, say anything and I'll kill you, and so she's just like,
yes. Oh, that's right. I think maybe it was later, but there was a moment where like they're talking about like Hiei is there, and they're talking about like, hey, Yukino, maybe your brother, and Kurama even like apparently like Yusuke told him, and because Yusuke assumed, oh yeah, you guys knew each other, right? That means he must have known, and like Kurama's like fucking with Hiei. It's like, hey Hiei, finding Yukino's brother is pretty important. Maybe we should help too. Like, he's just being a cheeky little fuck about it. Or that's what I took from it, because I think that's how, or what the implication was. So, there's funny stuff like that.
And there,
did you have
one last thing before the fights. There was one part where, like, after Genkai died, and Koenma kind of shows up behind Yusuke, and earlier in the arc, Yusuke had been like, whoa, stop showing up, you stop surprising me or whatever, and Koenma makes some sort of offhand comment about it. But later, after Genkai's death, he notices Koenma before Koenma shows up behind him, and he's like, how'd you know? So there's like a little bit of growth there.
I didn't notice that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Okay, I'm caught up now.
So anyway, on to the actual... okay, good. We're good. All right, so overall thoughts on Kurama versus Karasu?
Well, as far as like a design goes, I like when I first saw Karasu, I'm like, oh, it's the prototype for Illumi. Just because like the long black hair.
When you put it like that,
and like the,
I mean, very different eyes.
Yeah,
but yeah.
But I don't know. That's just what I saw when I saw Karasu. I also kind of like how, like, you mentioned earlier about like Togashi would sometimes have like really close attention to detail, and with like the way he draws Karasu's hair, with like there are different spots where it's like, like very strands just like fraying out at different places, and it's just interesting. It gives him like this weird
it's like, it's not quite messy, but it does have a feel, like, because most of like, it's actually like, looking at it, it probably isn't that hard to like, because it's mostly like a black silhouette, but then it does have a few like very carefully placed like strands, so it's like but it really adds it's interesting because it's uncommon, but it adds a lot to like his hairstyle, I think.
Yeah, especially so like looking at it juxtaposed to Kurama, who it's just kind of a solid little thing with the ends and whatever.
Because it's only a few strands, but it's there's, like I said, they're carefully drawn, so it's interesting to look at. Like, now that I'm actually paying attention to it, because like I've said, Togashi's art is fucking good.
But as for the fight itself, I'm kind of surprised it went on for as long as it did, because I don't really know what to take away from it on like a thematic level.
Well, because like this, because like Karasu's like, oh yeah, I like to destroy things that I think are beautiful. Like, he likes the pain, so to speak, and I don't know, maybe that ties into the fact that he's alongside with Togoro's group, because he tried, like, both Karasu and Bui tried to, like, wanted Togoro dead, but kind of ended up alongside them, like, maybe in hopes that they'd get another shot later. I don't know. Maybe this contrasts with something.
I'm trying to think of it as like, Kurama and like
his... he's a demon who does value like things, but it's so simple that I'm not sure about that even. So, Kurama like seemed kind of like he beats Karasu, but he didn't do it in time, so he ends up losing.
There's also the part during the fight where Karasu kind of like goes Super Saiyan, like his hair turns a different color, and he uses his powers.
Yes. Though I will say, like, I'm totally open to like people pointing out things I did, because like I got that comment last time, because like it's also weirdly interesting, and I think it was maybe a bit tongue in cheek, but Funky on my server said something, because it's like, because I was just like reading through the Nen Show comments for last episode, and I was like, I got more insight on Fairy Tail from the Nen Show than I did on the Yu Hakusho one, and I'm like, that's kind of weird, because like Fairy Tail gets shit on constantly, so you think, oh yeah, it's not very good. Where Yu Hakusho, it's a beloved series, especially for the anime. Like I've seen way more people say they like the Yu Hakusho anime more than the as a favorite, compared to like people who are like, oh yeah, the Yu Hakusho manga is a favorite. I haven't seen that as much, or at all. But like, you know, there was the one comment about Yusuke's character, but other than that, I didn't like. Oh, one thing I didn't mention about the comments is there was a lot of people who said like, oh, you should read this on the Nen Show. I ignored all of those.
Yeah.
Because like we already have the next, like including Hunter x Hunter and excluding like the Boruto, the ongoing stuff, we have the next 11 series like more or less planned out. Okay, so it's like maybe we'll read the ones you're suggesting in those, but if not, then you're gonna wait a little while. So we're good. We're good. Like just because we're doing the decade blocks with the 79 before, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. Like we're set.
Yeah.
Okay? Thank you. But so yeah, I'm hoping people have like even little observations, or you know, I go neat. I like getting those. Please give them to me. You know, I read this a few days ago. You know, obviously I'm not, and I've only gone. This is the second time I've gone through it, and the last time was a while ago. So it's like there's bound to be something I'm missing. You know, so please, like if there's something to say it, because I would like to appreciate the story more. I like to appreciate everything more. You know. But the comment that Funky gave was like the Yu Hakusho is the sleeping dragon because it's like been on the top for so long, where the Fairy Tail fans had to claw for everything they could, and like it was tongue in cheek, because it's like kind of like a tiger dragon joke, with Fairy Tail being the tiger and Yu Hakusho being the sleeping dragon that's the stagnant one that needs to be overthrown, I guess. But like I also found that really relatable, because in high school Naruto was the dragon and One Piece was the tiger, because One Piece was mostly known for the 4Kids dub. The manga had like people who were reading the manga were like yeah, they liked Enies Lobby, even though it was still like, oh, power levels and form changes, oh One Piece is losing its magic for Enies fucking Lobby. And then the war was hype, but and I obviously liked One Piece more, but I definitely had some resentment towards Naruto, because like I did like it. And then I came to like dislike it for the same reasons everyone did during the war, and Sasuke's a bad character, blah, blah, blah. But like I definitely but I couldn't explain why I liked One Piece, or what made One Piece good, you know, obviously. Where the people who like Naruto didn't need to, because everyone liked Naruto. So it's just like I definitely find that relatable, because like of just the idea of like, you know, because I guess I kind of feel that way about Hunter x Hunter, is that like hopefully I'll have things to say on the Nen Show, but there's already been a lot said. Like just Alexander has 2600 videos, like and that's a lot. And there's some other, like there's a Tumblr blog I know of that talks about Nen powers that I just glanced at one post. I'll have to find it to link it, but it's interesting. Yeah, Hunter x Hunter already has a lot of discussion, so even if I did have something to say, I don't need to say it, like, because it's like it's already been said. Where One Piece, that is not the case at all. So it's like, but it's interesting, like, yeah, Fairy Tail, because it gets so much shit, you have so many people talking about it, like in the comments and stuff, but there's also no like videos on it really, except for like the tirade that's shitting on it. So I know it's kind of interesting how the discourse unfolds around some of these series, and based on their perceptions. Because Bleach, there's a lot of things to say about Bleach, but none of them are being said on YouTube. It's like that was your video, so.
And yet you could fix that, but you haven't yet.
I gotta reread Bleach. I will. I got other things to do. I'm sorry. I will. I'm gonna. I'm gonna do Bleach.
I just had to mention that because you brought it up.
I know it's a meme at this point because I'm like, after we finished Bleach, I was like, man, I need to do Bleach videos, and that was like 2 years ago, a year ago now, more than a year ago when we finished Bleach. Like we've read 3 series since Bleach, so no, 2 series, and this is the 3rd. So yeah. But anyway, Bui versus Hiei.
I of course have to say that the manga version was not as cool because there's no Akiyuki Shimbo animating the panels, and god damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I gotta find my notes real quick.
I also think it's kind of funny in one of the cutaways to... Or whenever Sakyo, like, went on about his backstory or whatever, just the way it was, like, framed, where there's the panel of Sakyo saying, like, the way he starts off, he's like, my parents were average folk, nothing special. And then it just cuts to Togoro looking at him, and I just, like, picture Togoro being like, I don't fucking care. Like, it's like, oh boy, here we go. Like, he's about to rattle off his life story monologue, and he's just like, oh god.
Saki just, I really want to talk about this, and Togoro's like, whatever. Like, because that's the thing, Togoro doesn't care. Like, even in the last fight, Sakyo's like, I will stake my life on the outcome of this match, and Togoro's like, yeah, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna fight anyway. I don't care. Like, and why should he? Sakyo's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, as far as like this fight goes, like there is a bit of a contrast with like, because they're both restraining themselves a bit, like, you know, because he has his bindings and Bui has his armor, but like he like Bui unrestrained himself, like he kept to keep himself restrained because he can't control his powers, where he unrestrains himself to control his powers. Like he you know, like Bui's almost bragging about how he can't control his powers, but he's bragging about weakness in a way, you could say. And Hiei isn't. Like, so, and that's, Hiei, like, is beyond Bui in that way, and that's why he unlocks his powers, and he just fucking wrecks him. So, hey, look, an actual, like, theme. No, it's fine. But yeah, there's also normally Hiei, like, kills the fuck out of his guys as enemies, but Bui's like, okay, you can kill me now, and Hiei's like, do it yourself, bitch. So, that was interesting, because Karasu's, he died, I'm pretty sure. But no, he could be fine. The body, look at the...
We didn't see a body.
Tense Tosen, his fucking arms fly off. He's fine.
Oh, I will. I was thinking more of like the yeah.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. I'm just thinking about our reaction to it because we took the "no one dies in Bleach" meme.
Yeah.
I did, and you followed along. So I don't know why I took it so seriously. Anyway, but yeah, so yeah, Hiei wins. And and this was kind of like, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna pass out for like 6 hours. If good luck. And then he wakes up 6 hours later, and the fight actually hasn't started.
Yeah,
yet.
Because he destroyed half the arena.
Yeah, and so Togoro had to bring in the ring from the other.
And half. I do think that's kind of interesting from a power scaling perspective, because like Hiei was like training to fight Togoro, and then he kind of decided, nah, I'll leave it to Yusuke for respect for Genkai or whatever. So like, you know, we see him destroy half the stadium, and then we see Togoro like carry the other ring back. So we're kind of like, you know, they both have like similar feats of like, ooh,
yeah. Yes. Well, and I'd even say like that. Well, because if you go at it from more like, because it's easier to destroy than it is to create, you know. So Togoro's like, you could say Togoro's more impressive in that way because he's creating something. So deep. We're going deep, Mathwiz. I don't know. Anyway, Kuwabara versus Elder Togoro. So I guess like, I don't know, did you have any thoughts on this fight?
I mean, like, there was a little bit about, like, Kuwabara being kept in the dark about Genkai, and then, so then he goes from, like, the goofy gag character who got teleported away in 2 fights, to then just, like, squashing, you know, I don't know if I'd say the second most important character on the team. Well, I guess technically Sakyo counts, too, so, but I don't know, like, he is the other, I don't know, I don't know if him also being a Togoro necessarily makes him as important, because he's just kind of there.
Well, see, I honestly, he's more. I mean, he's kind of more important for what happens after this, honestly. But he did show up like in the first like the prelude arc with the Yukino rescue. So yeah, he's like I'd say he's more important than because in his fight he offers about as much importance as like Bui or Karasu, but he also has more outside of it. So yeah, I'd say he's a little bit more important, even if only barely. But yeah, it's cool, and it's Kuwabara who beats him.
I did think the fight was interesting in that like he like Elder Togoro used his power to like tunnel under the ring and attack Kuwabara from behind, and so then Kuwabara kind of learns from that and like channels his aura over to the blade to like go after.
Yes, and then I mean, there was an earlier line about like, I excel in just defeating teamwork, but that didn't seem to fact because it's just a one-on-one. So, and yeah, then Kuwabara just gets a fly swatter and defeats him. So yeah, it's fine. Cause like that's the thing. It's like Kuwabara was being protected by the his emotions were being protected, but I don't know how that factors in because Togoro told him, and then he got more emotion power, I guess. Sure. It's fine. But yeah, then afterwards, Kuwabara bitches at the team for not telling him. And it's actually Yusuke didn't tell anyone, but like Hiei and Kurama just aren't stupid, so they already knew. Like they just figured it out. And Yusuke, he didn't tell anyone because he still can't even believe she's dead. I mean, she is dead. She is dead. But I'm very curious because you've already told me your thoughts in private, so I definitely want to get there. But that's like literally the last thing we talk about, pretty much. So anyway, now we're getting into definitely the best fight thus far. Yusuke versus Togoro.
But before that, second popularity poll.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yes, good.
Which Hiei this time gets like 20,000 votes, so he somehow still gets more than he got last time. So of course Hiei with the sweep.
Did I pass it already, or do you know where it is in the actual like? Because I'm scrolling. Maybe I passed it.
I don't remember if it was like during the fight or if it's before it, but I figure it makes sense to talk about it before we talk about the fight, so we're not just like interrupting.
True. I just need to, that's fine. I just need to find it first.
I don't remember when.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Let me check my notes.
It was something with a color chapter.
Oh no, it was actually towards the end because.
Okay.
No, it was actually later because I'm looking at my notes and it was after Yusuke took off the weights. So give me a second. I just need to scroll through. I'll find it. It's there. So yeah, it's basically midway through the fight. So the vote would have like only barely had some of Togoro's stuff. Oh God, I'm looking at the art in this fight and ooh, it's good shit. Okay, I'm at the poll. So out of 53,000 votes, Hiei single-handedly got 20,000 of them. Holy shit.
Then Kurama in second place had 13,000, I think that is.
Yes, so now there's the gap has widened even more. Like last time Hiei and Yusuke were fairly neck and neck, relatively speaking. But this time it's like Hiei, the dragon of the darkness flame just like shot Hiei up, and like even Kurama's cute fox boy form, like there's even a little like chibi version of it with
it was
Kurama,
not enough.
No, it didn't do any. It only made it worse. No, actually, Kurama did get second place, so he was more popular. But like, damn, and Yusuke's having all this character shit, but no, only 10,000 votes. And that's like these characters like because. Fourth place, Kuwabara, 3,000 votes. Like, just the top three alone make up literally, like, 43,000 votes.
Yeah.
Out of 53,000. Like, so that means Yusuke alone is basically everyone else combined, except for the two above him. So, holy shit. It's just so stilted. Like, I don't remember seeing this in the other series that we talked about. Like, there were some pretty big gaps, like, with Bleach with Hitsugaya, but not, like, the top three literally have, like, 80% of the votes. Holy shit. And there is no American version this time.
Yeah, so then it's what? I I'm surprised, like, even with now that Togoro has had, like, all his character development and stuff, and we haven't seen the conclusion to his arc, but, we've gotten a good bit of him. He's still only 10th place, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more that I just think of, like, the Western perception of Togoro, where he's, like, oh, one of the best characters in the series.
I mean, I'd put him at number 2 right now. Like, I do like Hiei and Kuwabara, but Togoro's really
it's kind of like Yusuke and Togoro, who've had, like, the big defining character arcs.
Yeah, exactly. And also really good contrasts. I love that shit, so it's like, because they're really similar, but really, and it's good. And I'm looking forward to talking about it, because it's a fun fight. And the art, okay, I'm getting distracted. So anyway, 4th place Kuwabara with 3,000 votes. 5th place Koenma. He takes off his binky to out of gratitude and kills everyone or something with cute, I guess. I don't know. Wink, wink. I can't spoil. 6th place is Botan at 1,000 votes. 7th place is Genkai, 800. She even says, like, if only I were 50 years younger, then she would have taken first in all parts. I don't know. Karasu got 8th place, which is actually the highest antagonist.
Oh, wow, yeah, Karasu was higher than Togoro. I didn't think about that. Which is...
Well, so is Pooh.
Oh my god, no.
Got 9th place, which is now we're getting, like, Kon and Gamabunta flashbacks. And yeah, Togoro's 10th place. Keiko sadly didn't even rank, even though she's doing some adorable shit with Yusuke, so very sad.
That's the biggest crime. Like, an even bigger crime than Pooh outranking Togoro is the fact that Keiko is not on this list.
But yeah, that is an interesting point that you bring up, the Western perception, because yeah, Togoro is really well liked. So in Japan he's like not very. I mean, I wonder. I'm very curious because I don't know how many popularity polls are left. Because like. It's weird that they seem to cut out towards the end, because, like, I remember, like, with Naruto, there was, like, one around was it before the Kage Summit, during the Pain arc, I think? And that was, like, the last one. Like, after that, there was, like, an attack poll or something like that for techniques. But, there was no character poll for the ending,
I think there might be one more, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, you watch the anime, so, we'll see.
But the anime doesn't have popularity polls. What are you talking about?
Anyway, so I just I since I skipped ahead to the popularity poll, it's funny because like I have no context for it, but I just skipped to the next page thinking, oh yeah, that's where we're going next, and I saw Pooh telling everyone that they need to kill one of Yusuke's friends, and I'm like, oh, now I remember what happened, but that was just like, that's where I jump in, and with no context except for what I read before, so I'm just like, wait, what the fuck? So now to go back to where we actually were. Sorry, that was funny.
This is why Pooh defeated Togoro in the character poll.
Kill your friends! Anyway, so yeah, Sakyo comes out. He's like, yeah, by staking his life on Togoro, he's not gonna fight anyway. And Koenma does the exact same thing, even though his life is like notably important to the whole like underworld, human world. Like, yeah, Sakyo's a big deal too, but it's good. Koenma's like, yeah, he's like, I got you into this mess, so I might as well assume some of the risk. And then, yeah, here's the moment you were talking about where he's just, Sakyo, just, here we are, backstory, and Togoro's just like, I don't care, and, like, yeah, that expression is just so neutral. And, yeah, because, like, he gives this whole, speech, but, Togoro's like, yeah, I appreciate it, but I don't care. So, yeah. Well, and he says, Yusuke probably feels the same, but, he's also completely wrong. Like, this is Togoro, like, seeing the fact that they're similar and assuming... Well, see, I don't know. I guess he feels... No, I don't know. Maybe this is a visism. It feels weird because he's, like... Because later on, he obviously, like, tries to kill one of Yusuke's friends to draw the emotional power out of him. And, so, yeah, I guess not. I don't know. But anyway, before the fight gets started, Elder Togoro is not dead. He comes back, and he's, like, basically being a huge evil piece of shit. And Togoro's like, this is again where Elder Togoro becomes like an important foil, because younger Togoro is like go away, this is my fight, yeah, this is like, he's cut off everyone, and like this is his brother, and like, we sold our souls together, and Togoro doesn't give a shit. He's like, I never sold my standards. He's still because Togoro is not an evil piece of shit. Yeah, he's done some things, but like, he's also killed a lot of the evil, like, rich pieces of shit, like 2 of them. And now, now he's, like, fucking over his brother, who's being shitty as well. So, he's not, like, he works for Sakyo, but mostly for what he gets out of it. He's like, I don't want alcohol, I'll have orange juice, So
super perpetual flashbacks.
Togoro... No, that actually did become a meme on my server for a bit, because like, it's a fine video, I guess, like the point of it is fine, but it's still funny to reduce it to, it's like, you can't be a good villain unless you like orange juice. Because that's kind of, that was a joke, like, I guess Aizen's not that good a villain, he doesn't like orange juice or something like that. Like, it's funny. But no, it's anyway, so yeah, into the actual fight. Togoro goes to 80%. His aura is literally melting demons because it's too powerful. And then there's like, they actually like Koenma, like, there's a bit of like the others being protected. Like Pooh's aura is protecting the humans in the crowd. And Koenma is protecting Kurama and the team, basically. And God, the detail on these fucking muscles, like every single panel. But yeah, they fight for a bit. Yusuke like knocks him like clear out of the arena. And okay, how did you feel about Togoro getting his glasses knocked off? Or did you feel anything? I mean, because it's so, he looks weird.
Well, yeah, he does look strange without the glasses, but
well, because I looked at it and I realized what it was, and I think it's because his eyes are completely black. Where like, even on the next page, Yusuke's got like white in his eyes, so it's like they look more soulless. So it's like, part of it is that like you almost always see him with the glasses, So it's like,
so it would be kind of like if
Doflamingo
didn't wear his glasses in a panel.
Took out, yes. Though of course there was the SBS where it's like he took out his glasses and there's another pair of glasses, so it's like, it's such a defining aspect of his look. Oda dares not draw him without them. But here it's like, Togashi did do that, and it's when it happened, it was like, no, to put it back on. But no, I do like the soulless look in them, because he's just like, and it's also the expression of disappointment. Like, he gets knocked clear through the arena, and he comes back and he's like, that's the best you can do? Like, he's disappointed, because like, with Genkai, he like went up to 85%. He was like, 45 is an insult to you. But here he's like, nah, I'm gonna say 80%. Like, he's pissed. He wanted more out of Yusuke. Like, he's put so much into this tournament, and like, now that like, there's literally the stakes of the entire planet Earth on the line, because of Sakyo's bullshit. But it's okay. Yusuke was wearing aura handcuffs the whole time. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess it's like, again, to compare them, because like, they're both restraining themselves, and so Yusuke is doing it with the aura handcuffs, and Togoro's doing it like with it. He's always been doing it with his power levels, So I guess it's to make them more similar, but it also kind of just keeps up the tension, because Dragon Ball does the same thing a lot with the weights, Like, sure, okay,
yeah.
Again, this is Yu Yu Hakusho doing the thing that people find bothersome and other thing. It is still like, this is still my favorite fight. It's a good fight. But I just like have to pause there, because I'm just like, oh yeah, spinning the wheels, doing the shonen thing.
It is funny that you mentioned Dragon Ball though, because like I mentioned it before when I was watching the anime, but this fight definitely, like, I get a lot of like Gohan versus Cell parallels for this fight, and I'm not entirely sure what like the reason for that is. Maybe it's just like the whole,
Well, there is a lot of like, Togoro does his quote unquote form changes, and Cell like kind of goes back and forth.
Well, and then you have like Yusuke, his whole like, like with Gohan, like learning to let go and
that
stuff.
Part.
And,
holy shit, that's straight out, yeah.
Which is funny, because
Cell's,
they were both like
of,
happening almost simultaneously. So
that's the thing, is like, because I think I think some of the things people play, like, oh, that was it. It was in the Team 4-Star, like, Hunter x Hunter deconstruction video. I only watched the first half of it because I was like, yeah, this is stupid. But it was basically talking about how, like, oh yeah, Gon, he's so optimistic normally, and then he was so optimistic, like, yeah, he's gonna see Kite again, and then he sees Kite, and he breaks down, and it's tragic, and oh no, it's a deconstruction. And I'm like, if you replace Kite with Ace and Gon with Luffy, you get the Paramount War. And these things were happening at the same time. Where it's what? It's not. How is it a deconstruction? Like, again, it's these stories doing similar things at similar times. Like, it's just the genre doing, iterating on itself and, coming to similar ideas. And that's the interesting thing, around the same time. So it's like, here you have, like, because yeah, that's a logical endpoint. Like, if characters get stronger to protect their friends, what is the logical endpoint of that if not a villain who wants the character to do that? And so you have Cell and Togoro, who's like, yeah, Cell's like, I'm bored of you. I want you to get stronger. Togoro's even, he wants a good fight. And so, yeah, that same thing does happen. That's true. Because I actually had not made that connection. But it makes sense. So yeah. But yeah, Togoro goes to 100%, and Yusuke is suddenly no longer a threat. And yeah, he's willing to. Like, Yusuke shoots another spirit gun, and like Togoro blocks it with like it looks like he's blocking it with his voice. Like, it seems to be what the panel, because he just yells and it dissipates, and it's like, Jesus Christ, like some Uvogian shit. And yeah, Togoro's like, yeah, even if you've earned the right to fight me at 100%, that doesn't mean you can win. And then the crowd starts running. Some demons charge Togoro because they're terrified, and he just fucking destroys them. But anyway, now we get to the point where, it's Yusuke's, like, the worst thing is happening. People are being hurt because he's not strong enough. And Genkai even suggests, like, hey, maybe one of Yusuke's friends should die. And, I mean, at this rate, everyone, it's going to be everyone, so why not just, like, sacrifice one? And Yusuke's, no. And, but Kuwabara actually, like, goes for it. Like, he's willing to quote-unquote sacrifice himself. And Togoro, stabs, like, digs his fingers into his chest. Kuwabara dies, and I just got to the expression that Yusuke makes after the fact. Like, oh, that hurts.
Yeah.
Oh god. And then, but yeah, Yusuke's maximum self-hatred because the worst thing has happened and someone else has gotten hurt because of him. And he gets a friendship power-up because of a death fake-out. I like the fight, yeah. I swear. I just have to bring that up. And I will say, like, because, like, I mean, as far as, like, characters coming back to life, you have one to talk about later, but I do think this is actually, like, because what makes this one good specifically is that the characters are doing it deliberately. Mm-hmm. Like, as we see later, Kuwabara said, yeah, pretend that I'm dead so that we can draw that, because we need to draw this part of Yusuke. And, I mean, I do think that's kind of fucked up, because it's like, it's just a prank, bro. Like, this is some pretty fucked up emotional manipulation. Like, and I think part of the reason it bothers me personally a little bit, like, not enough to, like, kill the fight, because, again, it's still my favorite fight in Yu Yu Hakusho easily, but, like, I only heard the audio from it, but, like, because there's a lot of prank videos, and there's one in particular I heard the audio from where I guess the prank was that, like, one person was in on it, and, like, he was going to, like, fake be killed, and the other guy basically would see his best friend die, and, like, I remember, I hear one of his screams in my head still, and this was ages ago that I heard the audio from this, and of, like, you killed my friend, that kind of yell, and it's, like, kind of chilling. So, like, and yeah, it's not framed as, like, bad, like, because, like, when Kuwabara comes back, it's, like, it goes to Goofy again, but, like, it is also kind of fucked up.
I'm excited for your next video, Yu Yu Hakusho and the ethics of prank deaths.
The ethics of pranks. Maybe I can bring up Fairy Tail too, because they did the same, like with Sting and Rogue's parents, dragon parents. Like, oh yeah, we traumatically gave you fake memories of you killing us. It's just a prank, bro. Just. Why did we read Fairy Tail right before you, Hakusho? It's ruined us. It's ruined me. I'm sorry I brought you into this.
But anyway, no, yeah, I really like the line that he has later, where he's like, it shouldn't have to come to this. Like, I should have been able to finish it before, but it's that, him not.
Yes. Lots of good little lines here.
'Cause it's him, like, not
and then
committing fully to the things he's doing, unless, like he has that, like, mental barrier where, like, someone has to push him over the edge. It's not like, oh, the threat of someone dying, like, that's not enough. Like, it actually has to go one step further.
Right, and that's the like, and well, there's also a bit where like they're talking about his aura and how it's like Jin's like, oh, it's so devoid of hope, and you know it's conflicted, it's confused, and then Togoro's like, yes, get power, and Yusuke's like, no, I'm not gonna abandon my humanity. I'm strong because of those around me. You know, so it's like, you know, like, yeah, that that's where Yusuke's power emotions come from.
Yeah.
The people around him, and then Yusuke fucking punches him out, and they start fighting, and yep, it's good. Because ultimately what Toguro wanted to be was pushed beyond his 100%, and he gets like this fucking super.
This is 100% of 100%.
Yes, so we're having some like Frieza beyond 100 max final form 100% shit going on here, where it's like, oh, you thought that was my final, after all this build up to my final form, you thought that was my final form? Ha, very funny. Is this your first Shounen?
See, I mean, like, I guess, yeah, never mind. That's more of a nitpick. I don't need to bring that up.
It's I don't mind it. It's
well, it just reminded me of like the Dragon Ball dissection video where like Frieza's literally like counting out the numbers as his power goes up, and like Togoro doesn't quite do that. Like he, you know, he does use like the number percentages, but he's like, you know, this is about half, this is about 80%. So you know, it's like, it's not literally like 95%, 96%. But also, like, with Frieza, there was kind of the issue of he had already done all these transformations, and it's like, what was the point of the transformations if that wasn't him peeling back his power? What?
And there's also some other good contrasts, like, oh, that's right, there was one line where it's like, did you stop caring, or did you make yourself forget? Because, like, Togoro's talking about, like, how he cut everyone else off, but, like, he cut everyone else off because he felt that pain in the first, or he felt that anxiety of losing in the first place. Like, I don't remember if he actually lost. No, he did. Yeah, he fought and he lost all of his teammates, I think. And
then, that was in the last chapter of the arc. You learn his real backstory.
You know, he didn't want to lose again, so he, like, never made any bonds after. Like, he beat the shit out of his own brother. He killed Genkai. Sakyo bet his life on him. He was like, nah, I'm good. So, and then, what else was there? Basically, yeah, Togoro ran away from everything, you know, so, like, you know, he, even his humanity, and, but he ultimately was just, like, you know, he couldn't quite cut himself, because, like, and that's another thing, is, like, he didn't kill Kuwabara, because he didn't, like, he just wanted to get Yusuke to fight. Like, he's willing to do bad things, but he always does, like, the kind of bare minimum bad that he needs to. And in this case, like, he didn't need to kill Kuwabara. He just, like, he just needed Yusuke to think Kuwabara was dead. And that's what he did, you know? And the other thing is, of course, the enjoyment, because obviously, like, Yusuke is, like, he's in grief. He doesn't enjoy this at all. So it's, like, you get that aspect to his character, which does come up later. But it is interesting how it's, like, built up and explored through here. But yeah, because, like, you know, I think Toguro gives a line about how, you know, he went to 100%, but, you know, fighting for others helped Yusuke reach 120%, you know, and that's it. And Toguro dies. Yeah, good shit, good contrast.
It's the battle of ideals and the realized through a battle of power, and
Togashi finally did it. He's a real boy now.
Man, I can't believe Toguro got talk no jutsu'd.
With a gun.
Gun, never mind.
Also, I love the page where, like, you know, yeah, this is what the line you said, where he's like, he should have been able to do this without the sacrifice, and the Kuwabara is just, like, fucking dancing in front of grieving, and he's like, yo, how's it going? I posted this on my server, and I was like, Mashima after retconning another character death, and he's just like, yo, how's it going? Because it's so cheeky.
And then Yusuke beats him within an inch of his life.
So how did you know about this, actually? Like, because I knew about this. I think, definitely reading it. I probably knew about it when I first read it, too. But how did you feel? Did you know already that Kuwabara was gonna have a death fake out here?
Oh, well, I mean, like, when I
guess
when I watched the anime, I didn't know that, because I hadn't been spoiled about anything. Yeah. But, like, this one I didn't have a problem with at all, because, like, I get it, because, like, it, Togoro not, like, intentionally not killing him, because, like, we already knew that Togoro was kind of, like, morally gray, and we could see, like, what he stands for, what he doesn't. And so he was more of just, like, drawing out Yusuke's power. He wasn't necessarily, like, a bloodthirsty, kill everybody in my path sort of guy, even though he killed a lot of people. He's not great. He's got some, like, he's got some flaws in there, but, I thought it made sense.
But... yeah, it's like I was saying, like, I think this death fake, like, it might be the best one we've seen so far, because it's, like, it's being done for deliberate character actions, it's not just for, like, the jump popularity, like, rankings that, they get to see.
It wasn't just, like, for the cliffhanger or, like, the reader investment or something, like, I mean, it can also be part of that.
Is like that,
but...
yes. Well, because, like, I don't want to say every fake-out's been like that, because even just in Alvarez, like, Gajeel thinking he was going to die, like, he said some things to Levy he might not have otherwise. And then, like, Natsu versus Grey happened because they thought Juvia and Lucy were dead, So even though, there's death fake-outs, but, like, they also, at least affect the character motivations and actions in ways that might not have happened otherwise. So it's like, there is meaning to come from them, but this is, I do think it's a little more interesting because of the deliberate nature of it, because that's what the character, like, Yusuke is the only one who didn't know, and the audience, because we were supposed to be tricked. But yeah, it works. It's good. But anyway, Sakyo goes full Metroid, where he destroys the arena after the loss. He also says, like, his fail, because he didn't understand Togoro. I mean, he's a sociopath, so he couldn't, I guess, connect to other people like that. And I mean, he did see the weaknesses in Togoro, but he didn't, like, account for them, is what he says. So humanity is even though this guy is a very, like, fucked up example of a human, he's ultimately bested by humanity. So and in a couple, like, because that's the thing, Togoro gave away his humanity, but ultimately, that was kind of his his weakness in a sense. And where a friend for Yusuke was his strength because he accepted it. So yeah. But he's literally, like, Sakyo is literally, like, cackling as he, like, dies. So
that wasn't quite how the anime handled it. But again, that's because there was, like, the weird relationship with Shizuru, which I still don't fully understand what that was about. But it's more just, like, a dramatic sort of, like, quiet, somber, everything crashes down around him and he just kind of accepts his death. So it's a little less dramatic, I guess, but it's still mostly the same thing.
Okay. Well, because I just seen the panel where he's like, like, I would have liked to see humanity get fucked over by a demon tunnel, and then he died, crashing stuff. But anyway, but yeah, there's a moment where Hiei saves Yukina because she's in danger, and Hiei's speedy. Keiko beats the shit out of Yusuke, because of course she does. And they won. And now we get the real last chapter that you forgot to read because, I guess you were probably reading on an online reader that numbered the chapters differently.
Well, right? I was going off of, like, the volume releases, because the online reader I was doing did it right, but, like, in the Viz volumes, it's labeled as, like, the Hiei Kurama thing is, like, chapter whatever 0.5, and then the next chapter after that is labeled like they skipped a chapter. So it's like, it's labeled like this is 113, but it was 112. But, like, if you count the 0.5 chapter as a chapter, then it would be 113.
But they didn't. But they did. So
that was weird.
See, because I didn't have that problem because I'm reading in just the full volume, so it goes from, like, one page to the next. So it does. Honestly, this volume release is weird because it just has the chapter names, but it doesn't have the chapter number, which is annoying because I literally have the wiki open while I'm reading, so I can update my anime list accordingly. Because, like, I can't just, like, oh, this is chapter number by scrolling through the pages. I have to, like, look at the name, then go to the wikia, and then see, okay, that's the chapter I'm reading, because the name is the same, so it's just a little annoying. But yeah, we're almost done. Okay, it starts off with, like, what's gotta be a meta joke, because it's like, man, was it just 10 days? Felt like a whole year, because I'm pretty sure this was in serialization for a year, because it was, like, 50 chapters, so... I do like that shit. Like Frankie has a running gag in One Piece where it's like, I'm feeling really super this week, but he'll like say that over the course of several times over the course of the day, but he'll say that once a week in serialization. So it's like, it's fun. I like that stuff. Oh yeah, see, I was wondering about school, but apparently it was a good thing that the supervisors of the tournament were so kind enough to schedule it during spring break, so that Yusuke didn't have to worry about school. But anyway, Togoro, we see him in the afterlife. He took his we find out that he made his decision to not lose everything under the his age and his strength
after he had lost
under the
everything.
Condition that he would go to. Yeah. To go to 10,000 years of torment and pain for 10,000 cycles. So that's what?
Because they had said I mean, actions in the past or whatever or something, like you could have gotten a lighter penalty, but he was like, no, I've already made my decision.
Yeah, and then I think because I forgot about the 10,000 cycles. So that's what math. 8 zeros is 10 million years, I think. Assuming that and
then your soul will cease to exist or something like that afterwards.
Shit, that's so rough, buddy. But yeah, then Koenma looked into his backstory. A demon killed his. Oh, that's right. Toguro was a master of a school, and the demon killed all of his school and invited him to the Dark
that's
Tournament.
why he decided to because he didn't want to lose anything else. That's where the fear came from. So. He could you had said earlier. You put it well. He could only something himself. He could only trust in himself or whatever and his own.
Right. Because if he did that, even with Sakyo, if he did that, then if he lost something, he wouldn't feel bad. He was running from that pain. It's kind of similar to Doflamingo, but very different explorations, which is cool. Similar to Doflamingo, because they both wanted to avoid pain, but there's they're framed in different ways.
Doflamingo versus Togoro, thematic breakdown. Two characters that both wear glasses, but okay.
I didn't think about that. That's funny. We mentioned them earlier for that. That's good. But yeah, Togoro walks on his way to his eternal suffering, and runs into Genkai, and he's saying not to just forget me, and then he takes off his glasses. He's I think that this might be the first. I'd have to I think we see the light in his eyes. He's kind of regained a bit of his humanity in death. I'd have to double check that because I talked about how his eyes were all black before, but now when he takes off his glasses and looks at Genkai, he's got light in them. So you go. I think so because I'd have to check through all every panel of his eyes during the fighting, but I feel that because even this one panel looking at the flashback of previous Toguro, I wonder if he I thought maybe he lost the light in his eyes because he's a demon, but he doesn't have it here after Koenma explains his backstory. So angry Toguro of the past, who was bitter and at a loss, didn't have anything, but now he does have that light. So Ooh. He's fulfilled that he got his fight, but he's more fulfilled having accepted loss, because that's the thing. Is I'm going to die. I'm not gonna have it. The strength doesn't matter anymore. Going into the afterlife, now he's fulfilled. He's fulfilled for moving on, basically, and that gives him the light in his eyes back.
Yeah.
So good shit. And Genkai's list why are men so stupid?
Yeah, it's a very strong ending for a very good character.
Yes. Toguro, good boy. Like I said, Yusuke is really good too. Toguro is definitely because Alexander, he's only done the video on Toguro, which I need to rewatch, or no, I need to watch in the first place at some point. I do want to bring up that video because he had a lot, because someone else watched it and gave me a line out of it. I'm really glad that Alexander, he makes good stuff, but one thing that's always bothered me about his videos is he has to fillet the thing he's talking about. He can't just let the analysis do the work for him. He has to talk about how it's a masterpiece and stuff. So here's a particularly memeable line from that video. It's Toguro elevates Yu Yu Hakusho to an intellectually stimulating series.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a more classic Alexander line as opposed to the stuff he does now.
Yes, the video is a couple years old, and I've been told that in his recent videos he doesn't do that, which is because he doesn't. I don't think he needs to. Like I think a good like he makes good points. I think that a good analysis will like justify the work narratively on its own, and even if it's just in the subject it's talking about. But that line is just like Reddit, and it's kind of funny. So like I do like, but anyway, then we get the. So yeah, they're done. We can get off the island. We're back to the gang rather, and there's our ship, and Genkai's back. So you wanted to talk about this?
It's actually kind of funny because like when I first watched Yu Yu Hakusho, I really did not like this because it felt like it was kind of going against the passing of the torch stuff, and I don't know, it was a death fake out. It was like it felt poorly justified. I didn't really get it. But like now in revisiting it, I almost kind of don't even really. I'm not even really that bothered by it because like understanding what the ideas of the arc were and like how Genkai how Yusuke's character arc has worked and what like Genkai's role in that, and the conclusion with Togoro. It almost kind of I think it almost kind of makes sense that Genkai came back. Maybe.
I'm curious because like I would assume the opposite, because if it's about like accepting that things aren't permanent.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, Yusuke moving. Okay, never mind. That's
things.
why I disliked it, because like Yusuke moving beyond loss and stuff, or like accepting the loss and learning to live with it. But then Genkai came back.
Yeah, because like because in that way, yeah, like because you said in private that this might be worse than Pell, but because like see, I didn't care because my issue is like same with Pell is like. Why bring them back? What are they going to do after this? And I don't remember what happens in Chapter Black or the three with Genkai. So I'm also not as invested in Yu Yu Hakusho. Like it's good, but I was just like, I'm used to it. Like, come on, we just heard Fairy Tail. It was like a dream. Fucking mackerel. But so I'm just like, oh, Genkai's alive. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially now that you put it that way. I don't know. I guess, like, reading it, I didn't feel like, I didn't feel the burning hatred that I did the first time where I was like, this is terrible.
So basically, you had a Fairy Tail moment where it's like, you already had the burning anger, and then revisiting it, like, what are you going to do? Feel the anger again? Like, because that was me the entire time with Fairy Tail. It's like, I did a 7-part series explaining what's bad about all these things. I don't care anymore,
Maybe like, it was more like that. It wasn't more that, like, I have accepted that this is a good thing, but it's more just like I've accepted that it exists. So like then, yeah, because now that I think about like what Genkai does later in the story, as far as like her role as like a main character is kind of over here. Like she's still around, but she doesn't do much, and so her surviving is kind of
okay.
Like, if it was in service of something, maybe it would be less... It would be more forgivable, but she doesn't really...
So maybe you're right. Maybe it is worse than Pell, because, like, I don't think... Like, Pell is very weird for a few reasons that we discussed, but, like, this definitely takes away something, and One Piece is ongoing, so even though it's very unlikely, there's the possibility that something will justify Pell being alive. Where in this case, apparently that's not true, because that's why I didn't have a strong reaction at first. I was going to say, oh yeah, okay, Genkai's alive. That's a little. At first, I wasn't even sure if it was like if they were just seeing her because I don't know, weird ghost shit. It's a ghost manga, but no, she's actually alive. So, but yeah, it didn't bother me. It does, and yeah, it does kind of take away from the ending. So I understand frustrations to it, or it does take away in that whole moving on kind of thing. So. Very sad.
Yeah, because like we know that Yusuke accepts his humanity, but in the end, what did he lose and grow from? Like, because Kuwabara survived, and that was fine, but with Genkai, I don't think it's quite the same.
Yeah, he kind of. Yeah.
Unless someone can like better explain it to me in a way that like.
That would again, I'm always open to alternative perspectives, and I mean, this arc does have a lot of like it has more moving parts because it has like other characters. Like maybe there's some contrasts I haven't thought about, and yeah, maybe I'd love to hear more. And because Togoro's interesting, there's probably things I didn't get a chance to talk about that I maybe wrote a note of and I didn't think about while discussing, or stuff I haven't even thought about because Togoro and Yusuke, that's good shit. So yeah, I think that about ends our discussion though. Overall thoughts revisited. It's good. Best tournament arc ever? I hope not. If not because like it's bad or like as a tournament arc, I just hope I always hope to find more good things that I like. You know, I've always said, like, I would love to find something I like better than One Piece. Please. Where is it? Where is it? I want to know. Because it's just, I mean, even it's just so improbable because of, like, how long I've been with One Piece. But, you know, and, yeah, no, so, yeah, I'd say it's my favorite arc so far. Even if a lot of it is just like, yeah, that was a fight. But Yusuke versus Togoro is really good. Like, yeah, like I said, Togoro is probably my second favorite character after Yusuke. With Hiei and Kuwabara, they had some good moments, especially like the Yukino one that made me laugh was a standout. Genkai's good. Kurama. How do you feel about this tournament?
Yeah, like it does have a really strong ending, so I can't even really say that I dislike the arc. Because like even if it does have that slow start, like I understand why people like. Because there are really good things in this arc, so I understand why.
Yes, talking about, like, yeah. And like I said, talking about the arc made me understand more why people like it than reading it, so that, you know, helped me.
Yu Yu Hakusho,
anyway,
better than a 4 out of 10. You heard it here first.
I did I not say it's, I have it as
I think
6
you might have
now.
actually said that last time.
I think it was I had a 5 last time. It was only a 6 after I read
slowly moving up there. Maybe
so.
Chapter Black, we can push it to a 7, maybe.
Ooh. And then I'll pull it back to a 6 after 3 Kings. Because I know, well, you have different feelings off it because you watched the anime. I'm very curious as to that.
Yeah, I want to see how, like,
apparently the anime adds a lot more.
Yeah, I want to know what, like, the manga version of 3 Kings is.
Well, because it's only 20 chapters. I don't know how many episodes it
was. Less. Yeah, it was less than
is
20 episodes in the anime. It was maybe, like, 15 or something.
Okay. That makes it
Which,
even more
you know,
interesting.
it's definitely not like the 2-to-1 ratio, like 2 chapters an episode. It's
right, but I've heard they added stuff, so I'm curious. So anyway, that's about does it for the Dark Tournament. Yay! I enjoyed Yu Yu Hakusho. No, I'm kidding.
We'll see if that holds up next time when we cover Chapter Black, which.
I hope so, because that's probably the arc I'm looking forward to the most. So anyway, Chapter Black is chapters 113, actual 113, not online reader 113.
No, like I said, it was the Viz volume that labeled it 113, which confused me.
Oh, did it? That's weird, actually. The first chapter Black 2, apparently what's 153, and I believe it was the last, which volumes were translated?
16 to 19, I think.
Because I downloaded those 16 to 19. Okay, because I have those last 4 volumes. So we will be reading. So for the last for volume 16 and the part of 17 that is Chapter Black, we will not be reading Viz. We will be reading the fan translation. Which that starts on 139 by my download. It might vary. I don't know. Because like you had another chapter where that was fan.
Well, yeah,
translated.
I've been going off the manga decks thing, which just isn't it's entirely fan translated.
Oh, okay.
So like gotcha. I was only kind of checking it if I came across a particularly a
weird Viz
or something that didn't sound right based on what I remembered from the anime.
Yeah. But for 16 or volume 16 onwards, 139 I'll be talking about the fan translation as well, because that apparently gets across more of the meaning, though there are some still oddities in the fan translation. I don't know. You'd think with Togashi having so many passionate fans, you'd think someone would go through and do it.
I guess maybe with I would guess maybe manga translation is like not as popular as anime translation, like fan subs as opposed to
because it needs that's true, because fan subs you literally just put text on a screen with and with manga translation you're redrawing people, because you have to like one example is when a character is doing an internal monologue, they have the text on the panel, and so you have to remove the Japanese text and redraw what's supposed to be there, and then add the English text. So it's like if there's no, because usually speech bubbles you just delete the text in the bubble and replace it. So it's that's there's way more work for manga. So I guess to think about that, it makes more sense. It is still sad though. But anyway, thank you for listening. And we will see you next time.